Hello, everyone. It's freezing me again. Why does it do this? Why do you hate me? Hello. Am I too attractive for the camera? Hi. Okay.
Obviously, yes.
All right. Oh, God. Let's not answer that question. Anyway.
That's a question I don't need to know the answer.
So, I didn't think after the little bit of this podcast dying off that we'd be at 20 episodes.
Oh, shit. Really?
This is our 20th episode.
Woo.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And God knows it had to be because this is probably going to be the longest one we ever do. News alert, we're probably going weekly in October at this fucking point.
Yeah, I honestly think we should just pull the trigger.
Okay, announcing. We're going weekly in October. Because, dear God, we had 17 things added last weekend.
And you know what the bad thing is? I've been like so crazy busy and like news has been happening like so quickly. Like this is the first time I've actually been able to look at the doc all week.
Yeah, same. Today was the first day I looked at the doc.
The worst part will be, I'll be like, awesome. It's been 3 days of me being on Twitter for my regular like hour and spurts throughout the day. I'm like, I'm going to be on here enough.
I tried not to be.
To get topics for the podcast, and that is it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty much only using Twitter for that point. And then I'm like, good, like 3 days of nothing. Thursday will hit. Boom! God damn it! Well, I can't. I love doing this podcast, but shit.
Yeah, why is it like always on Thursdays though? I'm like...
It almost is. I expect this shit to drop on like Fridays and Saturdays when there's nothing going on in the work week, but no, it's almost always Thursdays. And then that becomes what everyone talks about once the weekend hits. But all right.
Yep.
As far as weekends go, weeks went, I have been doing stuff around the house and prepping for the con that I just went to, which is basically the big thing that I went. I went to Mad X, which is a brand new Madison, Wisconsin centric convention. It was on the smaller side, but it was still really good. Ton of guests that went. It was one of those like announcing guests in the last week type of things.
Oh, cool.
But it was small, it was condensed. It was still awesome. I had a lot of good talks with some people about stuff. I got to get one of my best friends so bad with the stand that had this sticker. Anyone that knows that joke, it made me piss myself laughing because the setup was the best I've ever had it. I got stopped by a guy at going through that saw my Gurren Lagann tattoo, and he's like, dude, that's awesome. And he showed me Yoko, I can't remember exactly what it was, but a Yoko like plate that he had at his store. And he's like, and they were talking about commissions and stuff. Hey, I'm around. And they were like, I'll draw Garfield as anyone for $5. I'm like, I'll draw Garfield as anyone for $5. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And then he'll send it to you. And let's see if I can find him. I'm talking about the rest of this. And then we're going on. And sure enough, like freaking 20 minutes later, as I'm driving home, I get that.
Oh my God.
And the irony of me asking that hit me like a truck afterwards. I'm like, I just asked him to draw Simone in the style of the most unmotivated like person in pop culture.
Okay, are you going to get a tattoo of it?
No. This arm is already spoken for.
Hey, if we get 10,000 subscribers, you get the Simone Garfield tattoo.
I tell you what, I'm not against a sub-specific tattoo. At this moment, I'm not convinced to have it be Garfield and Simone. But at some point, if we start creeping towards numbers where it's significant, I will make that a goal. It'll probably be in a place where no one will see it, but I will get a tattoo. I'm not against stupid gimmicks to make stuff cool. But I will say probably the coolest thing that I got to do, and I got to thank him in person, was I got to meet Tom Kenny this weekend.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Might be the most genuine person that I've met in my entire life. He is exactly what you think he would be if you met him. Mm-hmm. And like, he was in the middle of being all goofy and all that. And he was like, he learned my name and he started just signing a custom autograph and going through all that while talking to me. And he's just Nice, Jacob. I saw that you got Demeter in there. I saw the pictures when you got Demeter on a con. And I just kind of like, as he was signing, he's like, I don't want to get too sappy, but I was a kid of divorce in the 90s. And a lot of mornings I needed a good laugh. And you need to know that you were the person that supplied that. And I greatly appreciate that. And he kind of stopped. He's like, I'm going to be honest with you. People don't get that serious with me a lot. I greatly appreciate it. And he's, I'm glad I got to do that. And I'm like, shows like SpongeBob and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air are kind of what molded my personality as I'm growing older. He's like, you know, I'm good and I'm glad that I got to help you when you were younger, but I'm not glad that you reminded me that I've been doing SpongeBob as long as The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was on the air. He's like, that doesn't help me feel younger.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, but the other guy who I wasn't expecting, people that would know him the easiest would know who have watched Attack on Titan and One Piece would know this guy the best. It's our Bruce Elliott. I knew next to nothing about him, and I didn't know that he voiced Doc Pixis in Attack on Titan.
Oh.
Until I was sitting at the table over from him at Mike McFarlane's table, getting his autograph because he voices John Kirstein in Attack on Titan. And then I looked, I'm like, what the hell? That guy voices Pixis? And then
That's
got
awesome,
over,
man.
and I'm waiting in line. And like, I know one line from One Piece and that's it. And it's a line that his character says. And I'm just waiting in line, waiting for Mike. And this little kid just comes up to him who has a white beard shirt on and all this. And he's like, hey, can you say it? It'd be really happy to say it. He's like, I know what I want to say. I hear this guy just jolly as Santa Claus, just like getting himself all ready and just fucking screams out the One Piece's real line as loud as he can. And I thought I was seeing a miracle in front of me. It was the coolest shit I ever saw. And just seeing this kid smile, be a mile wide, it was great. And I got in his line, and he's like, as he's doing this, he's standing with this kid, and Mike is signing my autograph, asking what my name is. I get in Bruce's line, and he comes up to me, and he goes, so I was the voice, not the person, never met them. Gotcha. Sub-act for Pixis is dope, yes. And as I was going up to him to get the autograph, he's like, hey, by the way, I was listening while you were getting your autograph with Mike. I wanted to learn in and say that people with the name of BR in the start are always the coolest, but I didn't want to interrupt him. I'm like, you were fully engaged with this kid and you were still hearing me? Like, are you for real? And then his wife, or I would assume was his wife, was talking with him. It was like, people that don't go to cons don't know that, like, every person at a con has like a handler that kind of does the pre-prep to like, what do you want signed? What do you want to do? So you can just get to them and have your moment and all that stuff. So I got like one or two pictures with everyone else. Him, when they get the camera, he'll be like, all right, here's to normal. All right, now we're being stupid. Now I just told you there is something secretive. Now you're angry with me, but you don't really mean it, but you're kind of really angry. He took so many pictures.
Wow.
So many. And it's just, and he's like, now I'm going to take your hat off and dance. And like, it was just, the jolliest dude I've ever met at a con ever.
Hilarious.
And I didn't expect it whatsoever. I also learned that Jason Lieberch, the guy who voices
Dobby and Zeke.
Dobby and Zeke, yes. Got accosted by a cockatoo while he was on vacation that came into his hotel room. He got to get a whole story. And he had video of this thing crawling off their balcony and like climbing in bed with him to get treats. Wow. This is why I love going to cons. These stupid stories you hear while you're in line. Oh, it's fantastic. All right. Anyway, Kiona, how's your last 2 weeks been?
Oh man, after that, I don't know. How do I follow that up? Okay, well, I mean, I have pie, so that's a thing. Anyway, you know, it's been a rough month for me, honestly. It has, but I don't want to bring the energy down. So, you know, I'm just gonna say that things are getting better. Things are looking up, and you know, normal ups and downs of life, but trying to do better. So. Been playing a lot of like The Division lately for some strange reason.
I've never heard you talk about The Division.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just bored and I was looking for something different, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll just play that because
Are you
I
saying
have
you didn't have enough time to play Concord. Is that why you played Division?
Oh yes, obviously, I paid $40 for that piece of shit. Anyway,
did you say you did or you weren't going to?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
I'm kidding. I'm totally being sarcastic, but like,
it's like
no. I would never have, honestly, because you could see the sign. The signs were posted. You know what I mean for that one.
Yeah,
but
charge people for that.
They shouldn't
game.
have.
It would have had a chance if it was free to play.
Yeah, if it was free to play, they would have had a chance. Totally. That was a misstep on their part. But anyway, nobody's perfect. But I will say that, like, yeah, it's just been an interesting sort of time for me. I'm trying to get back into streaming and stuff like that. So it's,
I saw you were streaming earlier today while I was at work.
Yeah, I was streaming a little bit earlier today, and then maybe tomorrow after Red stream, I might do some. So yeah,
nice.
Yeah. Shout out to Red.
Awesome.
And yeah, so that's pretty much been it. I'm gonna eat my pie now, so I might take myself off camera because I don't want to make you guys all jealous.
Enjoy that pie.
All right, Mike, go ahead.
Let's see. Last 2 weeks, pretty much business as usual. One thing I am repping is a shirt that I got from the Animation Guild website.
Nice.
As they are now back at the negotiating table with the AMPTP. So I'm hoping that everything goes well for them. As far as the website goes, things have been going pretty well. The last thing that Cameron and I talked about, the last thing we posted was reviews for Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Terminator Zero, which is awesome.
Oh, it's so good.
And then I'm really looking forward to Transformers 1, which I'm seeing tomorrow. And then and then we got Twilight of the Gods, which is another series that I'm looking forward to, and The Penguin. That'll be both of those are tomorrow, and we've also got Agatha All Along.
That Tomb Raider anime comes out next month?
Yes, I think that's either October 11th or the 18th.
That is one thing also, not to interrupt you. We need to start drawing a line on what an anime is.
Yes.
Stop. Like, okay, I get this is, you choose an animation style or whatever. I need to start knowing if these things are made by Japanese teams or not, because all these things come out with the exact same animation style from Netflix, and half of them don't seem like they're animes. They seem like they're animated shows that got made on Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix is kind of the worst offender when it comes to this. Like, obviously, Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah,
that one is like an actual anime, but it's like the Witcher movie. That's actually animated in Korea, so I don't think that counts. Nice,
very nice. Well,
so yeah, the end of
Umbreon. By that logic, Lord of the Rings, the trilogy of movies, is an anime.
Obviously,
yeah. If it's animated and has a sub, that means anything that's ever been animated can be an anime. Just gonna throw that out there. Oh! I didn't get a picture of him, but there was a Bobby cosplayer at the con.
No way.
And it had a cardboard cutout on his shoulder that said, "Dang it, Bobby, stop going around to those Comic-Cons and pay for propane."
Nice. So yeah, the end of September is going to be busy for a lot of things.
Yes. And Bree, by the way, King of the Hill is second only in animes to Cory in the House. Keep that straight.
Of course.
Yeah. I don't know who started that joke, but I love it.
It never gets old.
Never.
To specify if it was made with an original Asian cast and dubbed, and it's an anime. Okay. See, that's better. All right, Bree, how was your 2 weeks, Ben?
Oh God. My sticker hunt is something that I've been doing in between working, and I actually have a picture of it. Let me just get the window up. There we go. So it's going. Got these two guys that are new. Little struggle getting them. They were actually lost in the mail for a few days, but I got that straightened out. But yeah, between work and other stuff, prepping for Lightbox next month, I've just been kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I somehow in between it also made it to a baseball game. The game itself was a blowout, but I still had a good time. So I don't know. I've just kind of been sort of like out of my body in like a good way, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's kind of where I've been at and trying to catch up on, like you said, Mike, Agatha starting. Only Murders also started back a couple weeks ago. So yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at right now.
Nice.
All right. Whoa, why did it do that? Okay. All right. So we're going to get in the buy or sell section. People, I'm going to let you all know fully. This might be a long podcast because a lot of stuff happened in the past few weeks.
A lot of hilarious things.
A lot. And there's some that I've even taken off of here that were stuff that we should bring up, but it was minor. And we're going to keep things as contained as possible because there's a lot to talk about. We have Bo DeMayo content again, three podcasts in a row. How? I don't know.
That ends. How much will you pay for a game console?
I'm going to be honest. I fact that stuff, and it should cost more. After further looking into it, it should cost more. But anyway, all right. So I think we're going to do that last one. We'll do, okay, Mike, buy or sell the new Venom the Last Dance trailer and the fact that supposedly Norman Reedus is going to be playing Null.
I'd buy the trailer, but there's one thing I have to sell, and that's the fact that the creators of Null are asking for money. I mean, I saw
that Donnie Cates was on there, and he said he was pretty hyped about it. It seemed like he switched tracks on that.
I mean, I would be hyped too to see my creation on the big screen.
Yeah, it's one of those things where being a comic book creator is the worst.
Because if you're working for one of the big two, then you don't technically own your creations.
Yeah. It's work for hire.
And that's something Marvel has always been not the best with, like actually giving credit to the original creators. DC does a better job of
royalties.
Unless it's Batman.
They just don't like crediting the right people right away. Kiona, buy or sell the Venom the Last Dance trailer and that Norman Reedus is reportedly playing Null.
I'll buy it. I think it looks pretty interesting. Venom hasn't been my favorite franchise, but it's been entertaining. So yeah, I'll say buy.
I mean, I love Kiona. I'm like, Venom's like dumb, turn off your brain. Like, I don't see how you can get like really that upset about it. But Norman Reedus is cool, so I mean, I buy it. I mean, there's really no reason for me to sell it.
I'm going to be kind of honest. I always had the dream cast of Norman Reedus being Johnny Blaze.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah. And one of these things, I run into a lot of people that are like, I hate this version of Venom. He's never silly. I'm like, you've never read a version of Lethal Protector in your lives.
I mean, Venom's always been kind of silly.
Say that you like the more serious version. Don't say he's never been silly. That's stupid.
A little bit silly.
All right. Bree, buy or sell that Destin Daniel Cretton is supposedly going to been confirmed by the Hollywood Reporter directing Spider-Man 4.
The last movie kind of left us in an interesting place. I mean,
Hard disagree, Umbreon.
I'm kind of just curious about the direction they're going to take Spider-Man now, since we've kind of done like the origin movies, and now we're just kind of straight up getting into like, okay, we're actually going to do like Spider-Man proper now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm kind of curious. I mean, Marvel, I mean, it's getting better, but they're still kind of in like this really weird spot. So yeah, I'm cautious by.
For me, I'll say mine. There has been, I love how no one can buy the fact that unless it says from Marvel Studios or basically the Hollywood Reporter or Deadline, that nothing about a Marvel project is confirmed. Mm-hmm. They just say from totallycooldudes.net confirms. No. So
that's what happened to Ain't Cool News.
If that's true, there's 17 versions of this movie being made. And I will say it's going to be a street level with multiversal elements. That doesn't work together. Shut up. It's going to be multiversal big shenanigans, blah, blah, blah. And then it's street level with Kingpin and Daredevil. Street level, and he's going to have a 3-way with Silk and Black Cat. Like, every version of this film has been proposed. You want to know what makes me think it's going to be street level? The fact that it's Destin Daniel Cretton. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I need Shang-Chi level street fights with people on the streets in New York.
Now, here's a question. Will Shang-Chi and or Daredevil be involved? Because, you know,
no.
Daredevil, maybe?
Because I don't see a connective tissue other than the fact that Destin Daniel Cretton directed it that would make Shang-Chi have to be in New York. When the last thing we saw of him was, this thing from the rings across the universe is calling you. You need to leave. But Daredevil and Kingpin would be awesome.
Yeah, I think if we're doing like, you know, low key, you know, we're doing like an actual, like not, you know, Iron Man Jr., but just full on like a straight up Spider-Man movie. I feel like those might be some good street level villains just to kind of start out with before we kind of get, you know, more into Spider-Man's rogues gallery. Because I seriously doubt they're going to do Green Goblin, Electro, Sam, and all of them like so soon, is because it was like that recent. So they're probably going to deep down to some like more like weird Spider-Man villains.
I also don't want it. I want someone like Scorpion.
Yeah, and also, you know, if Electro, you know, they kind of like redid it that we had like an actual like good Electro and not whatever that was.
Yeah. Anyway, Mike, buy or sell?
I buy this, and I kind of hope we get the Block Party crossover with Spider-Man and Daredevil, and I don't know if Punisher would be involved, but depending on the material,
Punisher and a PG-13 related property.
Yeah, that's why I think he won't be in it. But I buy the fact that we may actually have like a legitimate Spider-Man movie again.
I forgot that the writer of the previous 3 Spider-Man films are supposedly returning to write the script. And
yeah, that's Chris McKenna and Eric Summers.
That makes me pretty happy. Kiona. Oh, also the fact that Tom Holland and Zendaya are both working on new deals to return in Spider-Man 4.
Of course.
I just wish that I love Zendaya and the whole MJ thing. I really do. But this is your perfect opportunity to go Gwen Stacy. We got a trilogy with MJ. And that showing how selfless he was, what's the reason to have MJ back if he's not going to go back on that?
Yeah, exactly. What does Spider-Man be the last 25 years of like the on and off of like MJ?
It would be in a better spot because the on and off from them is him taking her away from MJ because he's happy.
I know. But we can't have nice things.
We can't have Spider-Man be happy because people can't relate to it.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly can't.
Fiona, buy or sell. If he forgot my birthday, I'd be a Spider-Man villain too. He didn't remember who he was.
I agree,
Yes.
Umbreon. I'm with you. Okay,
Yeah,
but
the same movie where electric eels healed the gap in Electro's teeth.
well, they got me like anyway.
I still can't believe that's a real movie that happened.
There were aspects of that movie I didn't hate, but yeah,
That's the best live-action Spider-Man suit they've made yet.
Yeah. Also,
By a
Emma
country
Stone,
mile.
Andrew Garfield, their chemistry was really good.
And then she dies.
And then she dies
That
naturally.
scene was really good.
Anyway, So I'm gonna say bye on this, especially with the Destin Daniel Cretton news. I think he's a good director, so I think he'll do well with the property. And
Absolutely.
Like you said, Brock, I'm in complete agreement with you. I just think that, as long as they keep it a little bit street level and maybe do something a little different with the plotting instead of just doing the whole let's retcon the whole spell thing. I don't know. Maybe that might work.
Yep,
If you
that thing.
Having
Spider-Man have a secret identity is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Will be different for sure.
One of his best aspects.
Especially
I really
for this
miss when
particular
superheroes
iteration.
had secret identities. It's kind of great.
Yeah. I kind of miss it. Sometimes I don't. Depends on how they write it.
All right.
Depends on how they do it.
Yeah. Mike, buy or sell Dick Van Dyke on how he wants to be remembered after winning an Emmy last night at the age of 98.
Wow.
For laughter, for making people laugh for 75 years. I've been in business for 75 years. I can't believe it that I'm still here performing. I'm looking for work if anyone's interested.
How can you not buy this? It's Dick Van Dyke. He is like a national treasure.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone has any other comments on it. I just had to bring that up because I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. That's the most wholesome response ever to anyone at his age. Like, I didn't know that Dick Van Dyke was still alive.
No, I mean he's been getting around. Like he's been still semi-working.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy to me. All right, so we had a topic that was in buy or sell that I'm going to skip over because it's going to be a much longer topic than I had earlier anticipated. All right, so Kiona, buy or sell the Batman 2 will not include any supernatural villains like Gentleman Ghost because we might push the edge of fantastical, but we would never go into a full fantastical, says director Reeves. It's meant to feel quite grounded.
The only thing I have to say is what's the edge that he's talking about? Like how far are they pushing it? I think that there are definitely some things that you could do. I think that the last movie sort of hinted at certain, plot lines, let's say, from the comics. Like, obviously we had the Joker. Obviously we had No Man's Land in there. Obviously we had, I think Venom for me personally. Like,
that's what it seemed like to me.
When I saw him inject himself with that and then it gave he had the burst of adrenaline and everything like that, I thought that was Venom. So, if they're going to go there, do you go Bane? Do you do how far do we want to push this? Here's
what I'm wondering.
Envelope.
This could turn into I think we're all kind of in the same, so we'll keep this a short discussion and not make it too long of a buy or sell topic.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks they're either going to draw the line at Mr. Freeze with a cold gun or Killer Croc.
Yeah, I was thinking Killer Croc myself. I was thinking
two hard lines.
Yeah. So I will say, for me, it's I buy this, because it's this iteration of the character. You're definitely not wanting. You can tell from the first movie that they're not wanting to go too fantastical. We'll leave that for the James Gunn stuff, but
the fact that we're actually getting a Robin in that film shows that they're trying some stuff.
Yeah, they're definitely opening it up.
Yeah, yes. I'm on the same page with Reeves here about keeping it grounded up, because even this is probably going to give me major hates, but honestly, the weakest stuff of the Nolan trilogy is that towards the end at the 11th hour, they started to get more fantastical stuff, Talia, the Al Ghul's and not really doing anything for it, and it just being really kind of fucking weird. So I think just kind of definitively just saying, okay, we could have all these characters, but if it's like something that's kind of like universe breaking, I mean, to me, that's just good storytelling. You know, having stuff like Gentleman's Ghost, I mean, that's still like cool, but it doesn't really work for the story that's being told here. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I buy this under one condition. By the time Andy Muschietti gets to do his Batman movie, he just throws caution to the wind, does all the fantastical stuff. Give us everything that Reeves won't, and it'll be a fair trade.
Because there's room for both.
Exactly.
Both, and I think that's why I think part of it's cool that they're running at the same time. You get both versions of that, and I pretty much said that. Didn't Reeves say at some point that he's making a trilogy and that's it?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard.
So he has a plan for what he wants to do, and it's probably going to end with the Joker because it has to for some reason. But yeah, just get some cool stuff along the way with some street level. I'd like a Batman movie with Deadshot.
That'd be awesome.
I wouldn't have minded the freaking Deathstroke movie we were supposed to get with Batman.
Yeah, I would have enjoyed that. Honestly, Joe Manganiello, that was perfect.
Speaking of that, did you hear that he's going to be in the live action One Piece's Crocodile?
Yeah, that's they saw those abs and went yes. I will agree with that. It is a good choice, and they'll go on from that into what they need to do for Muschietti. Speaking of other good choices, Kiona, buy or sell the Minecraft trailer? And do you think this will be worse performance by Jack Black in this or Borderlands?
Ooh, that's actually like a tough question. I have some thoughts, but Kiona first.
Wow. I'm gonna sell this one because I'm not a huge Minecraft person. Sorry, Allie, if you're watching, sorry, but I'm not a huge Minecraft person. She already knows. And I think that they did about as good of a job as they possibly could realizing that on, cinematically. But anyway, I don't know. It's fine.
All right. So here's the thing. Because I saw the trailer obviously online, and then I saw it the next day. It was attached to Beetlejuice.
That's awesome.
Actually, in person in the big screen, like the CG itself doesn't actually look that bad. In a lot of places, it actually looks good. The thing that kind of threw me off is that the compositing is off. Like the lighting is off. Like it's so like obvious. Yeah, I get, for this type of production, something like the volume might not necessarily work with like all like the elements, but it just feels off, which is a shame because like the actual like animation and like modeling, like it actually looks good. And it just kind of sucks that this is the movie it's going to be in.
Here's a comment I have to bring up. And the director said he wanted to avoid an ugly Sonic situation. We somehow then ended up with an ugly Sonic situation with live action actors. Which is worse?
Yes.
Did y'all see Jason Momoa in that trailer?
Oh, God.
What is this?
Why?
Mike, go ahead.
Okay, blah, blah, blah. I sell the trailer. I need to get
so many thoughts.
No. I needed space for this rant. If I see one more goddamn time this tweet going around of Warner Brothers canceled the Batman Beyond movie from Minecraft. No, fuck off with all of that.
Yes.
Thank you.
No. That could not have been more of a no if you tried.
First of all, the Batman Beyond the movie, it was just like a concept art. Like it wasn't even like in production. I'm like,
exactly.
It was just a proof of concept. I mean, like Disney and like other companies fucking blue sky shit all the time. It doesn't mean it's gonna happen.
I cannot see it now.
Absolutely. If we're just gonna say people are canceling things for the way that they get worded, then I can say, hey, they canceled the 4th Batman movie to make Willy Wonka. They didn't. But
It's almost as bad, if not worse, than Breed. You remember back in 2017, the whole Sony canceled the Popeye movie for the Emoji Movie, and no,
Oh my god,
that is not how it works.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Popeye just like an animation test, and that's as far as it went?
I believe so. Like they had that 3-minute like test footage reel, and while that was great, I don't think it went any farther than that.
I mean, that's the same thing. Like, convinced that the sizzle reel for like the Owl House was the pilot, only for like the actual pilot to leak like 3 years later.
Yeah. Seconds of thought I'd like people to put in
On the internet?
Shit they see online.
Brock, are you like insane? I'm like, here's the problem with social media. This is like a mini rant.
It
here.
exists.
Well, other than that.
That's the asterisk.
The problem is like
Good night, folks.
that's all folks. No. Okay. So the problem with social media, it's like a psychological problem, is that people feel like the incessant need to share like every single fleeting or idiotic thought. I'm like, you don't have to fucking say everything. And it's even worse if you say shit that, you're either bullshitting like intentionally or like unintentionally. I'm like, you don't have to say everything. Just God.
No. I agree. And we're going to get a whole lot more of that in the other main topics that we have.
Oh, I know we will.
Dear God, it's going to be a long podcast. All right. But anyway, we're making good time. All right. Last buy or sell before the other two I'm throwing into regular conversations because it's going to take longer. But buy or sell, Kiona. Elizabeth Olsen says she would love to return to Scarlet Witch when there is a way to use her well. Quote, I think people didn't know what to do with me for a second there. If there's a good way to use her, I'm always happy to come back.
Sure, I'll buy that. Yeah. I wouldn't mind her coming back. I love Wanda. So I love Scarlet Witch, yeah. So obviously, I think that there's more to explore with her character and with her power set and everything too.
Absolutely.
So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, especially since like we've only really gotten Scarlet Witch proper with like WandaVision and Doctor Strange too. Like
Yeah. The reality manipulation and everything like that.
So Bree, I would assume you buy this.
Yeah, I mean, because I feel like the end of Doctor Strange 2, spoiler alert for a movie that's been out for like 2.5 years now, because you didn't see her actually go out. So I think it kind of left it open that she could come back. I mean, either if that version of Wanda or maybe a different version in another universe.
Yeah.
There's always that loophole.
People do like to forget that before the weird ass loophole that when they made Avengers Age of Ultron, they were only able to use Wanda because they were considered an Avengers and X-Men character.
Yeah.
And before they started changing all the bullshit in the comics to suit Disney, blah, 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 she used to be Magneto. I don't know if they changed it back now. They might have.
I think they might have changed
Magneto's
it back.
daughter. What?
I think they might have changed it. I don't know for sure, though. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I think the whole thing, that was more of a Perlmutter this thing because he didn't like the people at Fox. Like, I'm not sure how much of that was Disney, because I don't think Feige and all them really had control up until like 2016, 2017. So
2016 is when Feige started answering directly to Bob Iger and, at the time, Alan Horn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest on many things. I like Elizabeth Olsen.
Yes.
I like her character Scarlet Witch. I like seeing her in tight red leather on my screen. I'm a man, I'm honest. And just, it's a great character. It really is. And it's a character that could be used for a lot of things. You can't have X-Men if you don't bring her in at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It shows you just how badly they fumbled the bag with how good Fox. Like, Sony's trying to make their own universe. Fox could have.
Mm-hmm.
They could have, but they didn't because they fumbled the bag.
No, that might be an all-time bag fumble, because if that had gone different, I'm not sure the Murdochs would have sold.
He could have been making $1 billion a movie with that. Apocalypse should have been a trilogy.
Yeah. And they should have had Age of Apocalypse, really.
They should have had every one of those villains. They could have had a trilogy. You still could have had a Brood invasion. You could have had House of M. You could have had all this stuff.
Yeah.
But they didn't care.
Yeah.
They didn't fumble. They just threw it away.
Yeah.
No, they threw it into other rooms, hoping someone else. It's the longest game of 21 on the planet. You know how you're tipping it back up to try and score points back away? It was that for however many years they had it.
Yeah.
And I know that Disney did not buy them back just to get Fox, but I will say it was one of the best mercy killings on the planet because it needed to end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Okay. All right. We're going to start out on a hot topic that I originally started out agreeing with the internet for the most part on until I had a lot of people say certain things and I looked into certain things and I started seeing people who were honest to God professionals looking at this and not 1,500 Xbox centric Twitter accounts saying, so, is it last week? Last week,
I think it was.
PlayStation 5 Pro got announced for $700.
What is time anymore, honestly?
I need to ask everyone here, do you think that the PlayStation 5 was accurately priced?
I mean, I kind of looked at this like historically. I feel like they probably, like the base level PS5, they probably undersold it like a little bit.
Okay, that's why I'm asking the question. Because that was $500. I think it was accurately priced. To me anyway, for the power levels and what we got out of it, I believe it was accurately priced. Xbox obviously agrees because they did their same thing the same way. Now, what's an extra terabyte of memory? $100. They sell it as much at the stores before you can install it. Put in there for $100. Now, that needed everything to make this bad boy run at what they're claiming for it to run at. Probably well over $100. I would assume. Taking it over the $700 price tag, everyone's saying is the most ridiculous thing on the planet and Sony should be burned at stake for. Now, I would guess, but the disk drive. Oh no, the $70 disk drive for everyone who buys 80% of their games digitally. If you want one and you're griping about a $700 machine over a $70 disk drive, we have different problems. And the same people that are PC snobs that are talking about this shit own PCs that they wouldn't put a disk drive in to save their fucking asses. And all these PC snobs who got their asses fact-checked by Digital Foundry, whose jobs are to look into this shit for a living about performance, said if you're looking at a graphics card to match what they're saying is in this with the technology that isn't currently available for graphics cards and computers, you're spending more than the console itself for the graphics card.
That just seems ridiculous.
And I'm telling you right now, this basic bitch ass PC I got here that's got no fancy graphics cards or nothing, that is just made for live streaming and nothing but, cost me $1,300 without the $700 in monitors that I bought. Everyone that is saying they're buying a capable PC that will run shit at what this thing is saying it runs for the price of $700 is out of their fucking mind. And that's saying with monitors included to run at this resolution. You're fucking nuts.
Okay, let me just actually do an antidote here. Look, I know Apple stuff's overpriced, but you know what? Their shit works. I got this at like a discount. This was still like $1,700, and this is running an 18 gig like memory with a 1 terabyte like drive. So I mean, it's a little bit more deluxe. It has like a slightly better chip, but I'm like, we're not talking about like flying to the moon or shit like that.
No.
Yeah. No, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I think I think that's the issue, is that people are saying that like you can just spend $700 and get something that's equivalent, which is not the case.
No.
But what I myself said is that I'm more PC centric anyway, so I would take the $700 and I would save it up and use it towards getting
Which
something
is
to upgrade.
A good way to put it that no one is saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you don't have like a PS5, I would say obviously the Pro version is like the biggest mistake they did was
That presentation was bad.
that presentation was awful.
Yeah, it
like
was
god awful. Using PS4 games and then like upscaling, like that was like absolutely
and
dog
showing
shit.
it on a YouTube video that's going to be compressed as fuck.
Yeah.
And wasn't that Dana Carvey doing the presentation?
No, it was Mark Cerny.
I'm kidding.
Oh.
I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you.
But again, showing it on a YouTube video that's compressed as shit, bad move. And here's the other thing. I'd hate to break it to everyone that complains about how I'm not going to buy one. Cool. It's literally made for not everyone to buy.
Yeah, it's targeting a different consumer base than just the person that's happy with their PS5 and their PCs or whatever. Yeah. So.
And it's for people who, like me, I'm not bragging, I saved up 3 years worth of shit to buy this. That TV is a 77-inch OLED TV that I paid $4,000 for. I saved my ass off for 3 years to buy that.
Yeah.
I'm the person who's looking to get the most out of it with a PS5. You know who PS5 Pro, you know who's not? 90% of the player base that doesn't need to buy it. And that amount of the player base that they're not looking to buy it.
Yeah.
People who want to get this are the people that want to get that fidelity out of it. And the people that are online sharing screenshots to show that the frame rate isn't what they're showing, you're the most stupidest idiot I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, especially
it doesn't
like
look
Twitter.
any different.
Well, especially Twitter for like the compression and stuff. Like some of the stuff, like, because I'm like a photography person, like I noticed like the upscaling's like really nice, but I personally probably buy it. No, because I think the larger problem is that, and we'll probably get to this more later, is that the PlayStation 5 has a little bit of like an exclusivity problem, like just not really enough games coming out to kind of take advantage of all this.
Okay, that is one thing that I get. It doesn't have as many, but this year alone they've had like 7, and everyone's acting like they've had none.
No, I mean they're not even the same, discussion as Xbox. Like
they're not. They've had Senua's Sacrifice, and they don't even have exclusives anymore. They're timed. Mm-hmm. And the other thing about this that I'm sick of seeing that people that don't get why they're buying this thing, just buy a PC. It plays all of it. The people that are buying PlayStation consoles don't want to wait 8 months to play a PlayStation game. The people that don't care and have PCs are the ones that want to wait. Mm-hmm. All these people that make this argument, and you can make an argument all you want, but don't argue about how cheese tastes funny if you're trying to buy a car. They don't work together. And also, at the core of it, when you buy a console, whether it has exclusives or not, if they're on both consoles, you're buying one because you prefer the way you play it.
Yeah.
If both consoles just had the controller and 0 exclusives, I'm still buying the PlayStation because I prefer this controller. And that's the thing that no one ever talks about either. People like how certain systems play. And that's one argument that I can never bash into people's brains. I used to be an Xbox person until the PS3. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know how much longer there's going to be that competition if this shit keeps up. There was a really scary graph that got showed recently that the sales of Xbox consoles have been cutting in half every generation.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah,
there's a very real possibility that if it sells well, that this Pro might outsell the Series X.
That wouldn't shock me. And then if any of the rumors of like the new Nintendo console are true, that's going to cut Xbox's player base like even more. Because if it could do like similar stuff for theoretically under $400 and there's like more exclusives, like why on earth would you have an Xbox versus like the Switch, whatever, or a PS5.
Adam, I was trying to unplug it. Yes, I still have my Series X. It's right there.
I figured you were trying to unplug it. I was like, what is he doing?
I was trying to unplug the show that I do, in fact, still have the system. It's right there. It's that black blob. You can kind of see the green. It's right there.
It's the mini fridge. It's the mini fridge.
He's like, no, I'm on life support. Don't unplug me, damn it.
But no, I mean, what do I like? What do I even need a Series X for if I have a PC?
That's the one.
Exactly.
That's the one where that argument actually works because it comes in day one on both systems. That argument literally only works for Xbox.
Yeah, but
and
I mean,
no Xbox person will ever admit that.
But I will say this, though. I mean, to your point about it being a bad presentation, I think it really was a bad presentation. I think they should have shown something new. Sure. I think they will show something new, but the thing of it is that, when
the damage is already done.
The damage is done. And also it's, myself as someone who is, majority PC gamer now, I'm just not going to get a PS5 Pro. And that's fine. I mean, that's how I don't want to spend my money. And that's like, if you don't want to spend your $700, then that's fine. But you don't have to go on the internet and justify it in all these various ways, because honestly, it's up to you. It's your choice. So whatever.
I've never, and speaking of the Switch, by the way, Nintendo Switch console players, I never want to hear complain about this either, because I will see the shelves of Switch owners. I'm not spending $700 on a console. That's fucking incredulous. Don't mind the shelves of 7 different Switches that I own.
Well, why do you need like more than one unless it's like an upgraded version? Because I'm still running like the OG Switch, which I still love to death. But I'm like, I just don't understand having like multiples of like the same like console. Like I just
is the T word there. Giving shit to the people that say they won't spend it and have 17 fucking versions of a Switch.
I mean, that's the part that's like just crazy to me with like game systems. Like for that amount of money, like, because I'm into like music plugins and other shit, I'm like, there's a lot more other things I want to do than like multiples of like the same console. I mean, to me, that just, it doesn't matter what system, like that shit just drives me nuts.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And if you don't want to buy it, you don't need to. And if you want to wait, the other big thing to just get all the PlayStation stuff out of the way is that Sony has reportedly contracted AMD to design and fabricate the PlayStation 6 chips, and its prioritization is towards backwards compatibility. About fucking time.
About time, yeah.
Court docs previously suggest the next-gen consoles won't launch until 2028, which sounds accurate. Supposedly, they were neck and neck with, again, this is all rumors, naysay, whatever. They were supposedly neck and neck with Intel, but Intel, I guess, didn't bid in a way for profits the way they wanted. And someone was wondering if like Intel's going to be around by the time that console launches, because shit's getting scary over there.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit frightening. A little bit.
Yeah.
It's not looking good. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and get all of the PlayStation stuff out of the way here also. Does anyone remember the game Days Gone?
Yes.
Vaguely familiar.
Yes, remember. Mm-hmm.
Has one of the funniest glitches I've seen in a game in my entire life. For any of you who have ever played the Spider-Man PS4 game, PS4 and PS5 game, there's a mechanic in it. I know you do, Adam. There's a mechanic in it to where each voice line was recorded twice. It's one of the coolest things I've seen a game do, and it was the first time I saw it with Spider-Man, where a line is recorded if you're just walking down the street, doing whatever. Yuri says the line in a normal form or fashion, or Najee Jeter if you're playing as Miles. Then there's a secondary version if you're swinging to sound exhausted or exasperated to show that you're tired and doing something. Days Gone did this as well. Was, if you don't know, one of the main things is that you have to manage your bike with fuel and all this. It's a really cool survival mechanic that wasn't in the game before. The bike's a great part of it. So the way they did this is that Deacon St. John, the main character, would talk normally if he's just walking around or doing whatever. But if you're driving the motorcycle, and he would yell to go over the motor. The problem is they set this mechanic to be just if Deacon is sitting on the bike. So if you're sitting on the bike and it's off, you will still hear Deacon responding to radio signals going, oh yeah, I gotta think about that. It's one of the funniest. I pissed myself laughing the first time he's just screaming at the sky for no reason. Oh, so funny. I hope it never got fixed. The last time I played it, it didn't. It's one of the funniest unintentional glitches on the planet. Anyway, so I used to be kind of irritated at Sony for not making a sequel to that game, and then I dug more into it, especially after the idiot John Garvin's comments that got made recently about Astrobot, which also ties into one of their CEOs. Who the hell was that idiot? So I can tie all this in.
Hiroki Totoki?
Was that the guy that made the comment?
I believe it was.
Hiroki Totoki comes out and says,
Hiroki Totoki,
where is it? That Sony doesn't have enough original IP.
You're fucking kidding.
Whether it's for games, films, or anime, we don't have that much IP that we've fostered from the beginning. Right after Astrobot releases, which is literally a giant cum shot at your screen of just how much fucking IP they have. There's literally 100 different bots you have to rescue that are all Sony IPs.
Twisted Metal, Siphon Filter.
You could drown someone in a list of Sony IPs. But anyway, going back to John Garvin, he made some tweet about how sad to see Deke reduced to being a shill for other characters, way to defend your property, Ben Studios, which was accompanied by a shot of Deacon St. John, who in the grand schemes of, I missed the car rants, have to again soon, that is sitting next to like Dante from Devil May Cry, Solid Snake, and I want to say Dart from Legends of Dragoon. In the grand scheme of things, Deacon St. John shouldn't even be in that discussion at all. But they put him as one of the top dollar IPs of the studio. And then John Garvin's all upset about how his precious baby didn't get a sequel. And everyone gets really pissy at Herman Hilst for not greenlighting this game, when it comes to turn out that after recent events and them reiterating it, that the head of Ben Studios that did not get along with John Garvin and was the person who fired him, didn't think that it met their quality standards, and that's why they made a new IP. John Garvin being the same person who actually was making the game take longer to come out than needed because of how badly he was harassing workers and had to be sent to anger management by the heads of Sony 3 separate times.
Yeah, I might not surprised.
And also blamed. Now, Days Gone has sold just shy of 10 million copies the last time I sent. What you think? That's a really good number. Yeah. And there's a like 500,000 people that signed a thing to get a new game made. You're not going to get a sequel sold at 500,000 copies. The problem is most of those sales were when the game was reduced to like a 40% off sale.
Yeah.
So then when someone, and what led to him being fired was comments where someone goes, I bought Days Gone on sale, absolutely loved it, hope for a sequel. He would then go under those people's comments going, because of people like you and woke reviewers, you won't get one.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Blames
Good job.
Woke reviewers that the game sold bad. Now,
what does that even mean?
Because it was a burly biker man and whatever. Anyway, so as we're going forward,
excuse me, I choked.
I did not experience these myself, except for like 1 or 2, but I have heard stories from close friends of mine that I believe 100% because they've showed me videos that game dropped as a bug-filled disaster.
Yeah.
And it badly hurt its Metacritic scores and its sales. It sold better when it got fixed, except for my favorite glitch, and then went on sale. You cannot be mad and make these comments when you yourself dug your own grave.
Yeah.
I wanted to present the whole story and get your guys' thoughts afterwards, because that was all of it put into one. That was like 3 topics, and I'm trying to find.
That was like 3 topics, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that, like I was listing them off just off the top of my head. Like you got like Killzone, you got like SOCOM, you got like Twisted Metal, Warhawk, freaking Wipeout,
Jack and Daxter,
Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter, Bloodborne. I mean, like seriously, there is so much IP that Sony has that they're just kind of sitting on and not doing anything with. I mean, you could do a lot with these titles and with these properties and stuff, and I feel like they're just not doing it. So, I mean, they dig through the back catalog and maybe produce something. I don't know.
This is one of those things that I understand. We want new games and whatever, but some of these studios that kind of failed at original IPs.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind them tossing some of these that way. But then here's another thing that everyone talks about. This generation sucks for exclusives and other things. People keep liking to forget that games are now taking as long as 3/4 of a console generation to be made.
Exactly. Yeah.
People like to go, Sony used to be really good at making all these games during the PS4 era, and Xbox 360 used to have all these exclusives and blah, 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 blah. Xbox 360 used to do what Sony does now that everyone hates Sony for, where they would buy timed exclusives, or they would do all this. And it was the most profitable, and it was how they sold really well during the 360 era. It was dumb that they stopped doing it. Yeah. They went towards, no, we want to be a thing that happens to play games, but also wants to be an entertainment console. Mm-hmm. And then Sony, I kind of wish they did what Nintendo does. Nintendo licensed their shit out to studios to make it for them.
Mm-hmm.
But the quality people at Sony, rightfully sometimes, rightfully not, are really strict on what is done with their IP. More strictly than freaking Nintendo at points.
Yeah, especially now. Yeah. Like Nintendo used to be this strict back in the 8-bit, 16-bit days, but now it's like, it's a completely different ballgame for them. But yeah, I mean, I agree, Adam. I agree with you on that point. For real.
Ever since those Kratos comments, I never want to hear Jaffy speak.
I don't want to hear shit from him. Yeah.
But yeah, this is one thing where I would like to see something like, what the hell is that animated series that's sadly somehow going to have an episode of Concord about it still?
Yeah. What is it? Level versus it's the animated anthology.
Secret Level.
Yeah. Secret Level. Yeah.
Do something like that with old IPs.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
That'd be cool.
Do a different season of whatever. And Umbreon, did you miss a car ride or like?
No, he's making a pun because that's.
I get that, but were you not going to the actual movie?
It's only 1 minute.
But anyway, yeah, I wish we could use better. But anyway, speaking of this, I try not to laugh, but stupid is as stupid does, and this has been coming for a long time. A significant minority shareholder in Ubisoft is pressuring the company to go private as they share prices continue to fall. Ubisoft's stock has dropped 51% since this time last year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, Yves Guillemot. Good sir, what are we going to do with you?
Kiona, did you play Outlaws?
I played a little bit.
Did you like it?
Some hours. It wasn't so bad, but I think that it definitely needs to be optimized, especially on PC. There's a lot of glitchiness happening. And also, it's kind of, I'll tell you one thing. It's a massive game, Ubisoft Massive is the name of the company, the developer. And I like what they do with the environments. The characters maybe are a little bit weirdly animated for me, for my personal taste. But I will say, having played The Division 1 and 2 now, those games look better than Outlaws looks right now. And I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe it's just my rig, maybe it's my PC, maybe whatever, but it's like I wish that it was just on a par with those, with their older stuff. I mean, obviously they've had time to fix the Division and everything and make it run super well, but like, yeah, it was okay. It was okay. And I would probably give it a playthrough in the future, like when it's cheap or on sale or when it's fixed. That's what I would do with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you just
Yeah.
they need to look at what they're doing with stuff,
Yeah.
and they're not. Like,
It could have been a lot better than it was. It's too reliant on stealth mechanics too. Way
I've
too
heard the
reliant
stealth
on that.
mechanics aren't great.
The stealth mechanics are not great, and it's just the fact that you can only use her blaster. I mean, it's worse than the Division when it comes to like you don't even loot things other than like junk to sell off. I wish that it was either given more time, but they probably had to release it now because they were just like let's get some sales. But I wish. I wish
they
it was better.
said, "Hey, make a Star Wars game like this," and got given the IP.
There's cool stuff in it, and conceptually, it's really cool. Like it's probably the closest thing that we'll ever get to that 1313 game that would have been awesome. But
I remember hearing about that.
It was gonna be so good.
Yeah, I don't think that it's. I don't think it's worth playing now at this point as it is.
Okay. Do you think optimization could make it better?
Yes, absolutely. But I also think that they might need to. I mean, I don't know if they could even do this at this point, but I think that they might need to like rework certain things, like in the stealth, and just give you a little bit more options on how to proceed in the game. But I don't know if that's feasible at this point.
Okay, got it. All right. Going on with some more AI stuff from last time. 80 games have signed SAG-AFTRA's interim agreement. And then Tencent's Lightspeed LA signs SAG-AFTRA interim agreement, first studio to agree on AI protections for actors striking.
Wow.
Good.
Yeah, that'll be better than the other one we get to when we get to the movie chunk.
Oh,
I have thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just good news there. Okay, so I've talked before when we were talking about Wukong about that they're basically the mafia for DIE in the worst kind of DIE. They've basically shaked out, it's the equivalent of bashing the doors of a diner and then say, hey, if you never want this to happen again, pay us. It's literally mafia bullying people to try and put things in where they're not needed and make it feel like forced inclusivity instead of letting it be natural. And almost every game they've worked on has gotten shit on for bad representation because it feels forced instead of natural. And their CEO recently defended their company's work, saying, says critics are the part of a greater movement towards a lot of very right thinking. I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't want to talk about politics on this podcast, but I grew up mostly, and for the most part, outside of very extreme thoughts, mostly am Republican. I'm not against including people of color or different genders or different sexualities and things. But when your company hires out people and companies similar to it, hire someone to write a review for a game based on Chinese mythology and downgrades it because there aren't enough lesbians in it, you're not doing it for the right reason. You need to actually work for representation in spots where it makes sense. These same people, this same company, tried to bash a game. What was that game that everyone's joking about that has a crab in it that's a Souls-like?
Oh,
that got released recently. It's like a crab's greatest treasure or something like that.
Oh, another crab's treasure? Is that what it is?
Treasure, which is literally a game about you fighting as a crab under the ocean with crustacean life. Try to force them to include more diversity. It's sea life. What are we doing? Bree, I'll ask you, as a person who's not a regular, just straight-laced, straight woman, are you mad that there is not lesbians being forced into a game about a crab fighting sea life?
Well, I don't know. It depends on what type of crabs you're talking about.
You had to.
A lot of crabs in the sea, you know.
He lives on a pineapple under the sea. So, quick question. This is like a stupid conversation to have, but does this crab talk?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's essentially arg.
So it is a Mr. Krabs ripoff, is what you're telling me.
No, because he's not greedy.
But he's a crab.
Important distinction.
And you know, but okay. I mean, here's like the thing. I'm like, I know I'm like, don't really have the correct amount of like melanin to like talk about like some of this, but I feel like for diversity, it has to be both like in the content itself and behind the scenes. Now, if it's like you're trying to get like more like, you know, Black and Asian devs, that'd be great. I'm like, yes. I'm like, that absolutely needs to fucking happen because I'm sorry, like not to be rude. There's way too many white straight dudes in gaming, like way too many. And it's kind of a problem.
I agree with you 100%. Absolutely.
I agree.
It should not just be a snowstorm everywhere we go. Really shouldn't.
It's just so much of this. I think it's just emblematic of like all the problems of gaming in general. Like everything's just kind of like snowballing that, you know, and I saw this later in the comment, and this is like unrelated, but the comment that Jenna Ortega like made a few days ago, like I feel like it could kind of, I feel like you can apply it to this as well. I'm like, just have more like diverse like stories in general, but like not everything, you know, like you said, like I don't like to force stories. Like I'll share a draft of my script, you know, just sometimes like as long as you have like a variety of characters and they don't all look, you know, pasty as hell, fine. I just, but if you're doing like a fictionalized like story and you're not necessarily going for like any like deep seated, like, I don't believe the argument that nothing is political because that's literally like fucking impossible, like on an intrinsic level, because that's just how human beings work. But I feel like if you're doing something silly like that, it's like it's a crab. Like we're looking way too deep into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with Brie on that. I think that like it's definitely a situation where I think there needs to be, or there definitely like there is room. I will say this way: there is room for more diversity and more inclusion in games, as there is in movies, as there is in comics, as there is in like a lot of different things. But I think to just force it in where, you know, like you don't want to force things, and you don't want to be like I don't want to turn into like those like God's not dead sort of things where it's like, you know, it's so obviously preachy. But like I also kind of understand like where you might want to have like a voice that is looking at certain like cultural issues and certain like depictions of things and stuff, like where you want to do it in a sensitive way. Mm-hmm. And I think that like a lot of strides have been made, and I think that there's room for more. So that's all that I'll say. I think that like, yeah, it's a situation that where there's room for more diversity, there's room for more inclusion and stuff like that. And you know, but I think that you have to do it in a sensitive way and not in a silly way, and not in a way that just doesn't, you know, patently is ridiculous.
The thing we need to avoid is tokenism.
Yeah.
And if you're going to include diversity, it's got to be at a deeper level beyond, oh, let's add more Asian characters to.
It's not a diversity checkbook where you went, well, we added the Asian, we added the bisexual one, now the movie's good.
Exactly.
Yeah. See,
because here's like the thing, like the checklist doesn't exist for like why cis people, leaning male, like why are we doing this for like everyone else? Why does this have to be a checklist? Look, I write stuff. I write characters that are like gay, black, or whatever, because I feel like it. And I feel like, since this thing I'm working on is basically a fictionalized version of Philadelphia, like on a logical level, I'm like, yes, of course those people would exist.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Because I think it's like a diverse side too. Like if you have like a fantasy world, just thinking, oh, only white European people exist. That's fucking ridiculous. Like
Yes.
that's just bad world building. Like I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like one of my honest to God favorite versions of that is an Attack on Titan.
Mhm.
Now, who here has seen it?
I have.
I think I'm the only one who's
Well,
only. I've only
Okay.
seen like the first season, but
Okay. I don't want to
It's so much better after that.
But
Oh boy.
season 3 is my favorite.
I love
Then
season
it
3.
gets it never's bad in my opinion. But there's a point where it kind of makes it look like the whole world is just one place. And then eventually other stuff starts being sprinkled in, and like the people of this one place get an understanding better of different things, and they're genuinely curious. It's done very well. I'll just put it that way. There's hilarious moments about it, like with a character named Young Capone and a really uncomfortable question, and like then it's just done in very serious ways with other people. It's it's one of the best versions of it, in my opinion, and showing how differences and other stuff can be handled in good and bad ways. But yeah, it's one of the best versions of this entire discussion that we're having. It's fantastic. And like it includes everything, like non-straight relationships that are done in a way that doesn't seem weird, like at all. Like a key point of the second season is one of that, and it's just. But anyway, yeah. Okay, so I saw this 2 minutes before I sent the link out, and I'm having a hard time understanding this. The Passion of the Christ 2 will begin filming in early 2025, and Jim Caviezel is returning as Jesus.
okay. Let me look up the production history or the development history of this sequel, because
Please do.
Mel Gibson
There shouldn't be one.
Well, yes, but
Take that from the only, I think, still church attending person in this room. They shouldn't exist.
well, also the other reason it shouldn't exist other than that is just fuck Mel Gibson, just like in general.
Yeah.
well, yeah. But here's how far back this sequel has been
Exactly,
in development.
A long time.
In June 2016, writer Randall Wallace stated that he and Gibson has begun work on a sequel to The Passion of the Christ, which will focus on the resurrection of Jesus and the events surrounding the resurrection. In 2018, Caviezel said that Gibson had sent him the third draft of the screenplay. There should be 0 drafts, but that's besides the point. In 2020,
The more I hear about this, the more it makes my blood boil.
hold on, I'm almost done. In 2020, Caviezel said that it would be titled The Passion of the Christ Resurrection, and predicted it's going to be the biggest film in world history. No, it fucking won't.
No.
Bro.
In July 2023, Gibson said the sequel is coming soon, and he has 2 versions of the script that he's working on, saying one of them is a very structured and very strong script and kind of more what one should expect, and the other is like an acid trip. Why do we need this?
Look, if there's any proof that God is dead.
Brock, you have to spin the chair. You have to do a max and spin the chair.
I think he's just gone.
There it is. The chair spin. There it is.
Why on this earth do we have screenplays for this? They wrote it already. 17,000 versions of it. Pick and choose. Second,
Can Michael?
Why? I would watch that.
Didn't
Right,
Family
watch it.
Guy do a spoof of this like
I'd
at one
watch it.
point?
I'd watch it. Third,
but
why?
wait, isn't Optimus Prime basically Jesus?
Yes, this is true.
He is Robot Jesus.
Zack Snyder's version of Superman was.
Oh yeah, that too.
Anyway, so okay, you should. The fact that you're making this is the most stupidest Hollywood fucking. Oh, that movie title makes me want to kick children. You should not. I can't even. I'm trying to form words about how stupid in Hollywood and you want to make. You know all the like campy Christian movies that everyone just takes the living piss out of.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed, Heiser.
Revenge of the that would be a much better title, but
Revenge of the Fallen is a guilty pleasure of mine.
Auto disciplines assemble. Disciples assemble. Disciples roll out.
They all start transforming.
They all turn into camels and just.
Oh my god, we're totally clipping this.
Okay. You're not making this for a reason a film like this should exist.
So
If you cared about this, it would have been made originally, and you would not be making this as a sequel to The Passion of the Christ. It would just be another film being made. The fact that the working title is called The Passion of the Christ Resurrection, A, makes me think of Alien Resurrection, and that makes me want to fucking puke. B, you shouldn't be labeling movies you're making for a religious reason in sequel movie, man. Like, this should just be another movie. A, you shouldn't be making it because at this point, that ship is sailed and that movie should be left alone.
yeah,
And B, I'm flabbergasted that they actually are getting Jim Caviezel back to do this.
yeah.
And this exists. Especially now, you're expecting in this economy for this to go well for anyone. I can actually see something happening to Jim Caviezel because of this. I'm going to be really honest with you. The amount of people that think of anything religious and then see that they're making a movie about this and that this guy's coming back to do this, it ruined his life the first time. And
It also isn't Caviezel like kind of a fucking nut too? Like at this point,
Yeah, he
like
is.
he's so obviously like mentally like not well.
who is there anything on directing this?
I mean, I'm assuming Gibson's going to direct it.
Yeah. Not to get too esoteric here, but I think I know what they're basing this on, and it ain't just the Bible. They mentioned, because see, back in the day when I went to see the Passion of the Christ, obviously was more religious, more religiously inclined than I am now, and they based that film even on the writings of a certain a person who is considered a saint, and Catherine Emmerich, and in those writings, first of all, there's a lot of shit in there. And because my parents actually read some of that stuff. And so I know of it.
It's not good.
It's not good. And it's very like Catholic and very like I would say like extreme. Like there's some racist shit in there. And there's like a whole bunch of like crap in that stuff. And it's like, what they're basing this off of when they say, like, Mike, you kind of said that they said that it's going to be like an acid trip kind of thing. Like that's really what they're basing it off of. This woman who was like dying and, basically had like a bunch of visions, air quotes. And essentially, it's based off of that. And supposedly she was given knowledge of all the stuff that happened after Jesus' resurrection. And it's
now
it's not real. I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, it's just, so if they're going to base it off of that stuff, on top of what they have written in the Bible, whatever version of the Bible that they're using, it's not going to be anything good.
Now, this is going to come as a odd thing to some people who haven't read chunks of the Bible. There are things in the Bible that sound like an acid trip. I'm not saying that what this thing is going to match that.
Manny.
But anyone who's read certain chunks of the Bible will know that a lot of angels are closer to how they look in Evangelion than they do on certain church walls.
Yes.
I'm just, to be really honest with you, go read it. There's some messed up descriptions of them being things that you can't comprehend properly with your eyes because of how terrifying they are.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So certain parts of the Bible are an acid trip.
Yes.
But
agreed.
if you're basing this off of anything other than King James, ESV, any of the normal versions of the Bible, don't make it. I know about the same things you're talking about. I got it explained to me later by my Baptist youth pastor. It's bad. Like,
yeah, it's bad.
When people and I'm not trying to speak bad on Catholics. I'm not. But there's certain things that Catholics do that, like, I'm a former confirmed Catholic. And
listen, I am too. So, go ahead.
there's certain things that when Christians get a bad rep, it end up coming from Catholic. I don't want to say this. Ideologies and certain things and mannerisms, other stuff like you needing to genuflect when you get inside the church before you can even kneel, praying to Mary, doing other things, and being given a freaking doctor's note of prayers when you go to confession. I'm not trying to be religious, but a lot of what people think for whack cages for religions come from some stuff that I don't believe is accurate in how you should act in a church setting. Yeah. But going on from that, again, I don't like talking about religion or politics in this podcast, but
also never have fun
with this topic.
Don't ever have fun. You're not allowed.
A large part of me hopes this movie doesn't get made. I should say all of me hopes this movie doesn't get made.
Same, 100%.
Nothing good other than Mel Gibson and a movie studio making money could possibly come out of this.
Exactly, and that's why he's doing it.
There's nothing religious to be made about this. There's no point.
No. There's no point.
People may hate those corny religious movies that get ripped and shit on by people, but they're making them, at least some of them, for an honest to God religious reason to show their faith. Are some of them corny and forced imaging? Yes. But there are some actual honest to God heartfelt things that get made by Christian filmmakers for good reasons. This is not one of them.
No, this is definitely not one.
This is just...
This is purely just for Mel Gibson to get his jollies.
They should just have Ari as their director.
And also,
was brilliant.
And also, it's for him to, be more of a rogue. Well, just be an anti-Semite, but at least he can be a little bit more marketable about it.
Yeah.
You should just get Uwe Boll to direct it. Anyways, moving on.
It would be more entertaining, let me tell you.
Yeah. So last podcast, I talked about how very happy I was about a certain thing that was making Josh very happy because of some news that showed up. That Control and Alan Wake were going to be getting TV shows and movies developed and all this stuff, and that Annapurna was going to be developing it, and as a part of that deal, they were going to co-finance Control 2. And then I opened my fucking Twitter, and the entire staff of Annapurna Interactive has resigned this month following a dispute with the owner. I can never have anything good.
Can't have nice things, Brock. We can't have nice things.
I normally don't give a rat's ass about what goes on behind the scenes of this company. I need to know what caused this.
I don't know.
Because every single worker quit the whole company.
I mean, that's some solidarity there, but honestly, this might be the most shocking gaming story of the year.
Yeah. Honestly, they are very good game makers.
Yeah.
Very good. And known for being a solid, good place to work. And then this happens. What the actual shit?
I have a feeling this is only the beginning of the story, and that there's there's going to be more drip fed throughout like the next couple of years.
Because there's going to be some NDAs falling away, and it's going to get dirty, but it sadly ain't going to get dirty fast enough. Because this should have people being fired.
Yeah, it sure did.
Because I understand this is nowhere near the level of Activision and the shit that Bobby Kotick was doing. But even under that dirtbag, you didn't have whole sects of video game groups quitting on a dime. This is nuts. And they've got hands in all sorts of pies, not just video games. I can't even.
I'll say one thing. This really puts a stain on Megan Ellison's character, because she's the one who's heading up Annapurna, and to have the entire staff like walk out is, yeah, that's a hit I don't think you can recover from.
No, you cannot recover from that. All right. Before we get into some smaller things, we're going to get onto the other giant topic about that happened recently. So, Linkin Park is back, and they have a new lead singer. And before we get into everything, I want to get an honest, unbiased opinion, cutting out everything else that we're going to talk about later. Who here all liked The Emptiness Machine?
I did. I think it's good.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did anyone else watch the
Yes.
one out, like the live stream that they did the same day?
Just watched it last night.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. I thought their performance on Fallon was good too. On Tonight Show was pretty good. Yeah. I mean, as a singer, like the work itself, just judging the work for what it is, I thought it was pretty decent. Yeah, not bad.
Yes. Now,
Not bad. She's
there's
not Chester. No one is.
She's
But,
not
yeah.
Chester. And that is the part of what we're going to get into this conversation about how everyone was prepared to not be happy no matter who they picked. And they contradicted themselves all over fucking Twitter ever since this has happened.
Yeah.
Because no one's being honest and just waiting to hate it every chance they can get about this.
Yeah. Well, there's no nuance in
all right,
society.
so now the drama that is happening is that Emily, and we need to be exact about this because people are not liking to mention all facts, is a second generation raised Scientologist, meaning she was born into it and raised her entire life. She is also gay, which if you were that to Scientologists, they would burn you at the stake and brag about it while broadcasting your burning corpse. So I'm going to say probably not that much into Scientology. Because also there's another rule about it that I've never looked into Scientology so much in my entire life until this past week just to see what was actually going on. Her parents are still in Scientology, and that they can basically ruin your parents' lives if you talk badly about them. And they have a thing called quiet quitting, where you can just leave Scientology as long as you don't outwardly talk bad about it. They won't attempt to ruin you and your family's entire lives.
That part's new. I didn't realize you can just quiet quit the religion.
Yeah. Oh, it's in their court documents they have put up for their religion. People like to say that Christians are a cult. Oh boy. Anyway, they also have their own version of a Hague where if you misbehave, they can put you in jail for you signing an agreement to be a Scientologist, just if you disagree with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing some scary shit of actual signed, posted Scientology documents. Second, yes, she at one point supported a fellow Scientologist, Danny Masterson, who was accused and convicted of rape until he was, and then dropped him like a bad habit. So now we're all going to discuss what we think about it, but I wanted to get the actual facts that exist out before everyone who has looked up 2 seconds of this and decided to tell her to kill herself went off on her. Go ahead.
Yeah. This is tough because Scientology is not something to take lightly. It is a cult. It is scary to think about people who have just been absorbed in that world and can't leave for various reasons. Like there are like so many like documentaries about Scientology and people who tried to leave and have put their lives and the lives of their family in danger. And I have a feeling that one of the reasons why in that apology that she made on Instagram, or I not even an apology, it's just kind of like
facts.
Yeah, stating the facts
Explaining
and just kind of
situation, sort of, yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons why she didn't like in that message say, "Oh, by the way, fuck Scientology," is because like if she says that, they're gonna come after her parents, most likely.
And the members of Linkin Park.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And Linkin Park is
Sorry.
let me see if they're still signed to Warner Bros. Because like
Yeah, are they?
I don't know. How long are those contracts? They didn't perform anything for 7 years.
Yeah, no, they're still with Warner. So yeah, Linkin Park is one of the biggest bands on the planet and signed to one of the biggest music groups on the planet. So there's a lot at stake here. So and here's the other thing. There's people speculating that like that the members of Linkin Park either didn't know about the Scientology or knew and didn't care. Again, one of the biggest bands on the planet, signed to one of the biggest record labels. They did their due diligence. They had probably multiple background checks to make sure that they weren't stepping into anything.
Yes. And one other thing that like we're going to talk about all the avenues of where all the hate came for this and how their fan base is shown to be some, and I'm not saying all of them, but most of them have shown to be some of the most hypocritical jackasses I've seen in my entire life. Because everyone has the shortest memory spans on the planet. First, we're going to go about Chester's son. Out of all of Chester's family, only Chester's son has spoken up about this. Who, if you look into what is going on, he is not mentally okay. He's been troubled for a while. Like stuff is going on with him that I don't know if he's seen counseling for or whatever, but you can tell he's had stuff going on for a while. Like he'll openly say on his Instagram that they're lying to us about how Chester died.
Oh, okay.
And he then said that whatever, it's not that Emily's bad, it's this, that, and the other thing. And then started saying some egregiously horrible shit about members of the band, claiming that none of them ever liked Chester. Mike is a groomer. All of these other things, just started spouting all of this shit just because people started fighting back at what against he said that they should have just stopped being Linkin Park because they're erasing his dad's memory. Now, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Which one of these two things is erasing his dad's memory? Well, couple options. One, trying to find a male singer that exactly pitches just like Chester so that you won't even notice that Chester left, and then fully replace so that all the things they do sound like this guy instead of Chester. Two, you stop singing every single song that ever had to do with Chester and then drop him like a bad habit like they never existed. Or three, you have this new singer that can hit the mannerisms of Chester, might not be able to pull the screams off, but can pull the same feeling and still be a good singer and not act like a direct replacement. All the people that are asking them to never sing a Linkin Park song that ever exists again that involves Chester are the ones asking them to erase Chester from history.
Nailed it.
It is the dumbest fucking argument I've ever heard in my entire life. You guys don't know the band the way Chester did.
And here's the thing too. I'm like, unfortunately, with like rock music, like how many frontmen have been replaced over the years? I mean, it's happened to like most of the big ones.
And here's some other things that we're going to bring up about how with this song, this doesn't sound like Linkin Park. Hey, Mike. Is that an argument that maybe got said 4 different times when Chester was still alive?
There are still some salty fans out there who insist that everything after Meteora basically shouldn't exist.
Yep, and I'm not trying to sound dark here, but coming from a guy who tried to commit suicide in his past and only got stopped because the school liaison caught me before I got to go home, I'm going to tell you how negative comments affect people. Chester ended his own life. All of you so-called big fans that know what Linkin Park sounds like and are saying you can't replace Chester are the same ones that ever since Meteora told them that every time, and they said point blank, they don't want to be a one-trick pony and want to change up their styles every time, told them that every year, stop what you're doing. This song is trash. This isn't Linkin Park. Stop doing this. Go back to Hybrid Theory. Your new songs suck. Now, you tell me that if for, I want to say probably 16 years straight, you get told nothing other than your songwriting sucks, your new ideas are terrible, you only had one good album ever to come out, stop what you're doing. Do you think maybe these so-called fans were 80% of the fucking reason Chester was driven to fucking kill himself? I don't mean to be dark. I'm just being really fucking honest.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I mean,
see
yeah.
your point completely. Yes.
It's unbelievable to me the amount of people that have such short-term memory that they want to bash on these people to the point of where you're part of the goddamn reason we no longer have Chester, and you can't say that you aren't. And to the point of where I'm seeing comments online where I'm seeing people say this wouldn't have happened if Mike was the one who killed himself.
Holy fucking shit.
Holy shit.
No one on this planet deserves to have a phone anymore. This place was a better time without it. And I'm going to talk about some other things for people about how this Scientology bullshit and this cancel culture horseshit only matters when they can get fucking clicks off of it. Hey, Mike, who's the biggest Scientologist on the fucking planet?
Tom Cruise.
Who does not give 2 rats fucking ass that he's a Scientologist and goes and makes him $1 billion when he puts a movie out?
Paramount.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to bring up another one before I bring up the fact that Linkin Park has gotten CDs produced by Scientologists, but y'all didn't know about it, so no one complained. There is a band that I'm a big fan of, Skillet. They've been known to be a Christian band for over 25 years. Recently, they got kicked off a tour with Evanescence because some fan found out that they're against abortions and then started a big thing and got this whole thing out that they're against abortions. Hey guys, I don't mean to be the spoiler person here, but the extremely known Christian rock group Skillet has been openly against abortion for years, and Evanescence and all these bands that toured with them didn't care. And you didn't care either until a podcast clip of them saying it got out. The right person found out, and then they went, I don't want you touring with Evanescence anymore. And then Evanescence drops them. You didn't care until they were touring with your band, and then magically now that makes your band look worse because this band that you were okay with listening to until you found a political belief about them, and then you thought they should be all shot, hung, and quartered and nowhere near your favorite thing. So magically, that's fine. And then, other than one time at the SAG Awards, hey, so we're just going to talk about people doing rotten shit and they should be hung and quartered, right? Who's an actor that regularly gets in big roles, people love him, he does all these cool things and people think he's funny? Oh, wait, Mark Wahlberg. Remember that time when it beat a minority so bad that he could barely even talk? Oh, that's right. Because that was a long time ago when he had his path to redemption. We don't care about him because he makes movies we like. It's almost like cancel culture only matters when it gets you the thing you want.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I am so sick of cancel culture because ever since it has started, 99% of the time, it is never for a good cause. It is for fucking clicks. I'm so sick and tired.
And not only that, I don't think like cancel culture affects people the way that they think they do, because the people who say they're canceled almost never shut up about it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And not only that, but cancel culture doesn't really work if you're like super successful. Like, being canceled and having accountability are two different things. Usually, a lot of this times, I would say, realistically, like 9 out of 10, it's usually off of like, is someone over like stupid like bullshit anyway, and they're not big enough to fight against it. So basically, they're silenced into submission.
Yeah, and you want to know one of the only times that cancel culture has actually been used for good? Harvey Weinstein.
Yep.
And it's really bad that I'm trying this hard to think of another couple of really great examples. Oh, and the dumbasses that were, because there's more than enough to name, that were all called out during the Quiet on Set documentary.
Oh, not even Dan Snyder, like the other
ones. I remember Dan Snyder's name, like the one that sent that young actress highly not even suggestive, just pornographic pictures. That one guy, the one that was sexually assaulting Drake.
That's Brian Peck.
Brian Peck, yes, him. I can't remember who the other guy is. The one that stopped that young actress, or J.K. Rowling. That's another one. Well, even though nothing really happened, you're not going to affect her. But and the Dave Campbell was the person I was trying to think of earlier. Their Minutes to Midnight album was completely produced by a Scientologist, but no one cared because no one knew. And if it would have been brought up then, they wouldn't have cared because it would have still been all the same thing. And the thing that I'm not understanding also with this replacement of Chester, people were like, we could have gotten Amy Lee. We could have gotten Derek from freaking Sum 41. We could have gotten, so it wouldn't have
Amy
been
Lee?
that band. It would have just became Evanescence with Linkin Park in it.
Mm-hmm.
That is like some bad, mid 2000s like fanfic shit. Like that sounds like shit I would have read in My Immortal.
And you know
the
why
fanfic.
why they said that? Because someone in one interview went, would you want to be I hear they're looking for a female vocalist, would you want to do it? She's like, oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool if I had off time. And then that turned into, she wanted to do it, but we got Emily instead.
People are dumb.
I mean, do people not realize that Amy Lee is literally fucking Evanescence?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to come up with why they just don't. And also, they should just stop calling themselves Linkin Park. I'd hate to break this to some of you people, but Chester joined Linkin Park.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Linkin Park didn't join Chester. And I'm going to tell you right now, the person who would be screaming the most to tell all of you to shut the fuck up and leave some of his best friends alone
Is Chester.
It's Chester, yeah.
This Chester would be rolling his grave to see what you guys did to his band. No, he'd be rolling in his grave to see how you guys are treating the people that helped him get the career that he has. There's a great story that Mike Shinoda talks about where I can't remember what label they were trying to get at, but basically they sniped Chester off into a different area and talked to him and tried to say that, hey, we don't need Mike to rap. We don't need all this other stuff they need. You're a good enough singer on your own. We just need you. They're not necessary. And then Mike even says, they're 100% right. Chester was good enough to be on his own, and he didn't need us. And then he said, no. And then he walked back, told all this to everyone in Linkin Park, and they went, what'd you say? I told them to fuck off. What else did you expect me to say? It's us or nothing. We're a band. And I like, I just don't understand this need to have everything be the way it needs to be. Otherwise, it's not the way it can't be right unless everyone needs to be exact. And if you're going to tell these people that they can't come back to doing what they love with the people that they love, just with a new person around, I'm sorry, you don't know them. You don't know their family. You don't know the people that Chester grew up with and that Chester loved through these people. Some of you weren't even alive when the band started. Shut the hell up. And my other point, that this got thrown around so much. No one, and I mean fucking no one, is allowed to comment on what this band sounds like now unless you know more female bands other than Evanescence, Paramore, or Hailstorm.
Yep.
The amount of times where I saw people that went, the band's just Paramore now. You have not listened to Paramore a day in your fucking life.
Or like Paramore in like the last like decade and a half. Like Paramore hasn't been like emo grunge in like 15 years. Like they've been more pop alt since like 2010. Like what the fuck are you talking about?
And especially Emptiness Machine. Where in their catalog is this sounding like anything them, Hailstorm, or Evanescence is saying?
It doesn't. And
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
And the last thing I'm going to ask that people are like, I don't think she's really doing anything or doesn't want to get or doesn't truly care about getting out of Scientology or anything like that. I'm like, listen to that song one more time. Actually, honest to God, listen to the lyrics of that song. There's a lot of things exactly what they're talking about could be put into.
Even the title.
If you really look back in the lyrics, especially Emily's, could be Scientology. It could also be the fans they knew they weren't going to please as soon as these songs came out.
Every time I listen to that song, I get more meat out of the lyrics, and you know, maybe she can't directly call out Scientology, but if she can do it through another medium, then what can we do about it other than just enjoy the music if you want to support it?
Exactly. Now, if something comes out and she is busted for not believing in any of these claims and she's lying out of her ass, I will say otherwise. But until that point, I'm one of the few people that remain in this fucking country that believe you are innocent until proven guilty and not the other fucking way around. Anyone have anything else to say? I'm sorry, I know I dominated a large part of that talking point, but this has been everything I see on Twitter has made me more think that no one was ever a fan of Linkin Park in the first place.
The only other thing I have to add as far as, you know, taking out all the Scientology stuff, as far as like a new singer coming in to replace someone beloved, a great comparison to the direction that Linkin Park is taking now, as far as like finding a singer who is by no means meant to replace Chester, would be Alice in Chain, where William Duvall is not really even trying to replace Lane Staley. He is like kind of his own. He has his own style. He does his own thing, but the main songwriter has, at least in my opinion, always kind of been Jerry Cantrell, and that's kind of how I see Linkin Park. It's really Mike and Joe and everyone else.
Yeah, and you could have the opposite effect with that. Everyone know the whole situation with the drummer in Third Eye Blind?
Vaguely.
He was basically the main songwriter for most of what they did and came up with almost all of their hits. And then basically got undercut by the lead singer and kicked clean out of the band. And then they took a fucking nosedive after it because the guy who wrote all their good songs wasn't in the band anymore because he was just the drummer.
So some people need to understand that just because you're the lead singer, that doesn't necessarily mean you're the front man of the band. Another example of that is Fall Out Boy. Most, if not all, the songs are basically the brainchild of Pete Wentz, and he's the bassist.
Yeah.
Speaking about Pete Wentz, do you want a fun trivia fact?
What do you got?
Pete Wentz's cousin was the late Colin Powell.
Oh,
Yeah, Pete Wentz is
Really?
black.
Oh yeah.
huh.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
I did
Interesting.
not know that.
Very interesting.
All right. So I love this. This is a, and when we talk about bogus reporting, followed by a fact check by the creator. Now, this first one is a lie, but I'm saying it anyway because it was reported, and I'm saying the second part because it was fact checked. Sony has reportedly scrapped most of Beyond the Spider-Verse for creative reasons. The film is unlikely to release before 2027. A day later, Chris Miller has responded to reports of Beyond the Spider-Verse being scrapped for creative reasons. Nothing has been scrapped. The reels are coming along nicely. Along with multiple animators have said, yeah, no, that's just crap.
Okay,
Basically saying, I'm at the computer today. I'm at the computer today. Nothing's gone.
Okay, there are actually kind of layers to the story. But I will agree with what a lot of people have been saying that the reporting on this has been just terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even blame Snyder's original reporting that much because, you know, while he did choose his words very carefully, everyone else who read his story and, you know, all those aggregate sites like Discussing Film and The Hollywood Handle and all of those, they took that bit from a larger story out of context, and then like a bad game of telephone, things got out of hand. And that's why Chris Miller and Daniel Pemberton had to respond, because I don't think even they heard the whole story. They just heard that bit blown up and like, no, the movie's not scrapped. It's still doing what it's doing.
Mm-hmm. That's another part of the worst thing with social media. The game of telephone gets worse every time.
Yeah.
All right. So when I saw this news article, I had to say it was the worst bit of false advertising ever. And the exact article was, Bo DeMeo says he will tell the whole truth on his OnlyFans.
For $9.99.
There was no hole. It was just lies. Pay $9.99 to let me tell you the same things I've been saying for weeks. Because if I was being honest about it, I wouldn't ask you to pay money to hear me talk about it.
And then still not tell you the whole truth.
How can someone shoot themselves in both feet, regrow new feet, shoot themselves in it again, and then eat them up to their crotch the way this man has? They let him slide.
Yeah, they did.
Disney of all people.
Yeah. They let him.
I can't fathom. Disney will hang you in the town square and put mouse ears on you. And they let this guy go.
Yeah, they did.
And he goes, no. I'm going to get the Disney treatment even if I got to fight for it.
Be careful what you wish for, because...
Why?
I'm just curious if this is going to head towards litigation.
It's going to be soon if he keeps his shit up.
Dude, it puts a mark on X-Men 97, which was one of my favorite things of the year. And it kind of like darkens it in a way. which sucks because I love that show.
Same. I'm not ready to go there yet, only because.
No, I mean, yeah, obviously, but I mean, like, it does kind of put that thought of like in my mind of like, you know, but a lot of other people worked on it too.
That's
so it's
that's why I'm not there.
That was, I think that was part of the problem too, other than the sexual harassment. The thing that about Bo that rubbed me the wrong way, and apparently like his co-workers like the wrong way as well, other than when he was actually rubbing.
I was saying other than just him.
Oh, geez.
It's that he just made it that, and unfortunately, a lot of people believe that's just because animation has this like weird like mystery box of like, oh, how does animation work? You know, that he was the creator of X-Men, that it was like all him. He left out the part that, you know, there was creative consultants from the 90s show that were brought
exactly.
on. Exactly. But that he was the sole creator, that, you know, he is responsible for this, that this is like his baby, and just, you know, completely like divorced everyone else who worked on the show out of it. And just,
you know who that reminds me of? Brie will appreciate this. Butch Hartman.
I was just about to say that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And
That's
some other
been a
Joss
name I
Whedons who
haven't
will not
heard
be
in a
named.
while.
Oh, yeah. I was considering that too.
You know, the one thing, you know, this is actually like a weird, yes, positive after all the stuff about Whedon came out, is retroactively we actually went, you know what, that actually fucking sucked. Like, you know, like Alien, Resurrection, and like all like the weird jokey shit, you know. Like most of Josh Whedon stuff outside of Buffy really isn't that good.
Oh, I mean, I like certain things still. I just think that like I'm still a fan of some of the work.
I'm not going to sit on this podcast and let you defend Resurrection if you were going to attempt.
No, I'm not going to defend Resurrection at all.
I was like,
my God in heaven. Do not even put me in that situation, bro.
I was like,
I'm not going to defend Alien Resurrection, okay? No.
I will accept a lot of things. Resurrection, praise, no.
No, not Alien Resurrection. No. I'm just saying that like there are certain things that I like. Yes, she was. There's certain things that I like that Joss Whedon had a hand in. However, you know, like I like the first two Avengers. I like Age of Ultron. I still like it. I still think that like there's a lot of stuff like, you know, as a writer, he's a talented writer for the most part, not always. I would say about maybe 60 to 70% of the time. But he also has a lot of people that are working with him on the shows. And like, it wasn't just his voice. And I will say that like, yeah, I will agree with you though. Like Buffy is, I think, the crowning achievement.
Yeah.
But it's like, but you know, I just always think of like Sarah Michelle Gellar and what she said, where it's like, I always want to be associated with Buffy. I don't want to be associated with Joss.
Yeah.
And it's like,
that's how it should be.
And that's how it should be.
And she's living her best life. Like her marriage has been going on like 25 years. She's just like not dealing with any of this bullshit.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because I was one of those people who was kind of in the whole, like, you know, I was one of those staunch defenders of him. And
everybody has that moment at some point where they don't know the full story until they learn it.
Look, I defended what Bo was saying on this podcast. I was somebody who said that, like, I agreed with him in a lot of ways on certain things. Yeah. But obviously, like, now that shit's kind of out the window because, you know, if you're going to be a dick about it, then I'm sorry, dude, you're not going to have my support anymore. So same thing with Joss. So
that's the difference. You learn what actually happened and you change.
Yeah.
That's all a part of it. People who dig their head in the sand, they go, no. He made the thing I like. He's a good person.
I would never, ever, 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 ever defend Alien Resurrection. I just want to put a fine point on that.
You know, if we're on the topic of like, you know, bad shit that happened in the Alien franchise, I actually saw, I think it was the original theatrical cut of like Alien 3 for the first time. And I was like, wow.
Yeah. Wow.
That was the most empty feeling I felt. I mean, other than like the obvious like bad keying at some points, I was like, wow. I'm like, And here's the controversial opinion. I'm not as mad as Resurrection as some people get because it didn't precede the greatest fucking action movie probably ever made.
Yeah, it's just when the speaking of that, when they go, hey, by the way, you remember that Higgs and Newt, the people you really like from Aliens? Yeah, fuck them. They died off camera.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's
I just everything about it, just like, I don't think I've ever felt like just such nothingness from a movie. Like, not even anger, not even anything, just nothing.
Just kind of like I was sitting there watching it and I'm just kind of like, wow, okay, this is a thing that exists. I mean, it wasn't like, wow, it was more like wow.
Yeah, no, it's literally like death. It's like the vast nothingness of death. Like, there's literally like nothing there. It's like you're out of the airlock and you're the xenomorphs just floating aimlessly into space.
Yeah,
and then they kill off fucking Ripley. So, fuck you.
Yeah, then you get Resurrection, where the dumbest, I have to this day not gotten a dumber retcon than Alien Resurrection. Ripley makes this sacrifice, throwing herself into the pit to be disintegrated so that she doesn't give birth to this monstrosity. We somehow get DNA out of this pit, clone her, and then she still is pregnant with the xenomorph. How?
And not only that, the dialogue, it's like not only that, but like if reading the dialogue, like the script leans into some of Whedon's like worst tendencies. It's like all like the quippy, blah blah, like you can't be, which really for like fucking Alien, this franchise.
No,
not
in Aliens,
time, dude.
Which give or take, Bill Paxton, I'm learning more and more just off the cuff most of what he said. Like, I'm learning almost every freaking good line he had was improvised on the spot. I'm learning more and more. That man was a genius in that film.
He was.
But hey, other than in unneeded, now that I've seen it, I get why they did it. But still at the point it was unneeded. Romulus was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mind Romulus. I thought it was pretty good.
Getting back to practical effects and also having to have a 7'7" person to play this monster. Good call.
Yeah.
So
plus it's like actually
terrifying.
Yeah.
You were saying
so if you're ever sitting there in front of your television and you feel this absolute sense of nothingness and sense of emptiness, it's not enlightenment. It's Alien 3.
Alien 3.
Nice.
We need to make that a shirt somehow where it's just like tucking into the short sky and then on the back it just says it's actually just Alien 3. It's just Alien 3. It's really bad.
David Fincher's not going to like this episode. Okay.
Here's the worst part about it.
No, he's disowned it. He would probably say shit on it harder.
Here's the worst part.
That's true. I really like
my roommate and his family have never seen the Alien films, but they've always been super intrigued by them. So I was like,
oh God,
what do you guys? I'm like, I need to ask you guys what you want to do. Because I'll be honest with you about which ones are trash and which ones aren't. And like, before we went and saw Romulus, I'm like, we should at least see 1 and 2. Give or take, this one takes place before 2. But we should, whatever he's like, even though they're bad, I kind of still want to see them. Like, man, I might just have you watch 4 without me. but we'll see. Because it's like, we're going through and all this is like, fine, I will watch them with you. I guess it is what it is. But all right, moving on. Kathy Bates has announced she will retire from acting after the CBS reboot of Matlock. This is my last dance.
Did you see her at the Emmys?
Oh yeah, she was great.
I did not watch the Emmys.
She was great.
I watched it.
Yeah, I saw that part.
I'm related. I didn't. No, Sonata's like natural speaking voice was that high pitched, and then he has like the most like I've been living in SoCal for 25 years accent on it. Like it's like bro, like just like the most broiest accent.
So I was looking up Kathy Bates's age just because I was curious. 76. That's like it's not too young, not too old. And you know, I'm not going to say she can't retire. Like, actors can do whatever they want. If she feels that she has no more gas in the tank and wants to call it quits, that's fine. She's had like a long career of plenty of iconic roles, from Misery to Titanic and like a bunch of other things.
Like she's like low key, like just a great supporting part of Titanic. And literally, if she wasn't in there, I feel like Titanic would be like a lesser movie, because it's like she's not a lead, but her performance is like so impactful.
Oh yeah, she's great.
It's a very lively performance that I enjoyed.
Yeah, and like you said, people are allowed to retire. Not everybody is Dick Van Dyke, who at 98 is still interested in acting.
Yeah.
People are allowed to do what they want to do. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Now, something that Bree brought up earlier that I wanted to wait till we had a broader time to talk about it, because I have agreed with this my entire life, because I don't want it to just be that anyone is only allowed to do female versions of stuff. Jenna Ortega was being interviewed during something for Beetlejuice, and she said, I should just bring up the whole thing I brought in with the Edward Scissorhands thing. While discussing how certain movies should get a sequel and should get a sequel, while promoting her new film Beetlejuice, MTV's Josh Hurwitz asked Ortega what she thought about the possibility of a reprisal for another Tim Burton classic, Edward Scissorhands or Edith Scissorhands. I love that there's a lot more female leads nowadays. I think that's so special, but we should have our own. I don't like it when it's a spin-off, the 21-year-old said. She only 21 years old. I don't want to see a Jamie Bond. I want another badass character.
Yeah.
Yes. You shouldn't be just reduced to women will watch it because it's the female version of a guy thing.
She is absolutely right.
Yeah. You should make more things like Atomic Blonde. That's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Red Sparrow.
Mm-hmm.
You finally got the freaking Black Widow movie. You need to have more things like this.
Or how about the rhythm section?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, rhythm section.
Or God forbid, original IP. You know, every time you say that, an executive chokes on his cocaine or whatever.
Yeah. Or when they get an original IP with a woman, men shit all over it because they have slightly chubby cheeks or bits of hair on their face.
Or it's woke bullshit.
That is a term that no one is allowed to use anymore because they even know what it means. Woke just equals woman or not white thing.
It's woke is basically replaced like Mary Sue in the lexicon. Like, let's just call a spade here.
Woke is what
you're right.
Sweet Baby tries to do. You want to know what actual woke is? It's Sweet Baby Inc. that tries to force what we were just talking about earlier. That is what woke is.
Oh, yes.
Or they can plank as a woman's. Yeah. Her tits aren't hanging out. I don't want to watch it. Or like, oh man, here's the thing I'll tell people. That, hey, there is a scene where there's a movie where Charlize Theron is a lesbian. You think they'd be interested, right?
You'd think.
Until it's Monster and she looks like she got the royal fuck beat out of her. Then she's not pretty and I don't want to watch it.
She's so great in Monster. Like,
that's wonderful. Now you get the opposite side of that, where Ana de Armas is describing the best part of her film being that she has a three-way with Sydney Sweeney. So I'm not saying that made me want to watch the film, but it did.
Here's the thing: when women are intimate with women, it hits different. Because it is male gazy, but also it can't, it can also like not be. It kind of depends.
Yeah.
But but she's absolutely right. And I'm like, I feel like people, and here's another thing, like a couple like weeks ago, like people were shitting on her because she's like, yeah, I'm like first generation American. I don't know Spanish, you know, and then she's saying that she's like abandoning her culture. I'm like, yeah, a lot of people like do that. I mean, my grandfather was like his first generation American, but he didn't speak like a Yiddish. I'm like, when you move to America, you assimilate. And I feel like, you know, again, I might be veering out of my lane a little bit here, but I feel like, you know, when you're like of like a certain, you know, this cultural demographic, there's like this tendency to like other people because, you know, Latinos in the United States are not the same as Latinos in like, you know, Latin America.
No. It's not even the same Spanish.
I was having a discussion with some of my friends earlier today, speaking of your point there, Bree, and you know, I was saying like I'm part Hawaiian, I'm part Chinese, I'm Portuguese Irish, you know, that's my ethnicity background. And it's like, but yet I've always, you know, been more white, obviously. So like I look more white, so I can pass. And that's something where, you know, it's also kind of like about assimilation and stuff like that. Like ever since I moved from Hawaii to here, it's like to where I'm at now. It's a thing where like most people don't really notice because, you know, except for the ones that know me, it's sort of in that same situation. Like I don't know Hawaiian. I can't speak Hawaiian. I can speak certain things. I can say certain things, but I don't know it. It's sad because the language and the culture is sort of like kind of passing away with each generation and stuff like that. But there is a movement to bring it back, and that's a good thing. And you know, unfortunately for me, I just never really got into it, and I wish that I had, and I still can. So, kind of speaking to that same sort of, you know, point that you were making there, Bree.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm like 70% German. I couldn't tell you freaking right from left if someone asked me something in German. I wish I knew. I can't.
I am 25% Italian, 25% German, 25% Polish, and 25% Romanian. I don't know a word of any of those languages.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know much of my maternal side because it was like vague and stuff got lost. So my maternal grandfather's side of the family is vaguely modern day Ukraine, I guess. We don't really know. So it's just kind of like a mystery box.
I'm a bad Irishman. I had my first Guinness at the age of 33 this last weekend when I was at Comic-Con.
Oh god, you're terrible. Like I have a Guinness. I have a fucking Guinness sweater that I bought from the fucking like Irish restaurant at Disney World.
It's like, this is common. I felt so bad. We went to, if anyone is ever in Wisconsin, Madison specifically, I didn't know exactly what my dad's side is in my family. Is I call myself half English, half Italian, half Mutt. That's what most people are. People like to say they're one thing or another. But then when you really get in the weeds and do like an ancestry, you've got all sorts of shit. Mm-hmm, no one's pure, whatever. But
yeah.
Except for there's just one clip from Conan where he supposedly did an ancestry thing and that he's 100% Irish, which means there was incest in his family somewhere. But anyway, so I was at the, if you're ever in Madison, Wisconsin, there is this unbelievably great Irish pub called Aaron's Snug Irish Pub and Grill. And we went in and we're talking, I'm like, all right, I need to actually have a Guinness. Like I've drinking Miller Lite and Coors Light my entire life. I'm like, I need to actually get this off tap. And then go in and like my friends who are like, I say I'm probably like, I'm some weird ass split between German and Irish and some other things sprinkled in between. Like I literally have brown hair and red facial hair. It's split pretty 50-50 up there. But anyway, and they're like, well, let's see how your actual beer tastes. And I take that up and like, I didn't say anything for a while. Then my buddy Chris goes, are you all right? I'm like, I haven't been drinking this for like 16 years. And now I really feel like I've been missing out. He's like, that good? I'm like, yeah, but I think I'd die penniless if I drink Guinness all the time.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, like representation, to have equal representation is better. You can make new things. And like, you can have situations where I didn't mind that they turned the West family black in the Flash comics.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Not at all. Like that didn't bug me. I'm going to be honest with you. There was a rumor going around a long time that people really wanted Idris Elba to be Batman. Wouldn't care. Honestly, would not care.
I would not have minded that.
No, because it goes back to like a little story I have about a buddy of mine who was a giant Flash fan, and his favorite Flash is Wally West. Then in the CW show, he became black, and he said, "I don't like that. That's not how it's right." I'm like, well, A, he's been black in the comics for 3 years. And B, you're like, he's supposed to have orange hair. He's known for having orange hair. That statement is the problem, where everyone doesn't understand what a character is known for. Hey, Kiona, you're a comic book reader. Have you ever opened up a comic book involving Wally West and went, "Oh boy, I can't wait to have him to have orange hair in this scene"?
Always, every single damn time I open up a Flash comic book, man.
No, it's almost like you open the page to watch him be a superhuman speedster and be a jokester. It's almost like that's what he's known for. Yeah.
No, it was definitely the orange hair all the time.
Yeah, it's definitely the orange hair. That's what sold the books off the shelves. That's what did it. Yep.
I was like, orange hair represent.
Yeah. That ginger mafia.
Yeah. People, unless you actually know what you're saying by the word known for, shut the hell up.
Seriously.
Honestly, like known for is like a trigger word for me, because it's like known for, I'm like, rut-row.
It's normally not good. Speaking of not good, Disney is suing, or I not to say, Disney is being sued by an associate of Peter Cushing for using his likeness in Rogue One. The lawsuit has been filed by Kevin Francis, a film producer and friend of Peter Cushing. He claims that Cushing agreed to not grant permission for anyone to reproduce his appearance through special effects without his authorization, and that he allegedly signed the agreement to not allow his image to be used without Francis's permission in 1993 while prepping to make a television film called A Heritage Horror, which was not complete. In addition to Disney, the lawsuit includes Lucasfilm's Lunac Heavy Industries, which produced Rogue One, as well as Cushing's agency and the estate now deceased executors. The suit alleges the studio got unjust enrichment from Peter Cushing's digital appearance in the movie. Disney attempted to have the case dismissed by the High Court in London last year, but it was rejected. Disney subsequently appealed, but Judge Tom Mitchinson upheld the ruling last week, although he admitted he was far from persuaded that Francis would win this case. I am also not persuaded that the case is inarguable to the standard required to give a summary of judgment or to strike it out, he said before adding, in an area of developing law, it is very difficult to decide where the boundaries might lie in the absence of full factual inquiry.
Well.
So, I didn't see that coming.
I mean, it's complicated, and this could potentially be set like a precedent if it gets through like the legal system. I'm kind of curious about the turn of events, why it took, at least 4 or 5 years after Rogue One came out for this to like come to light.
I'm wondering on that too.
Yeah, that was my question, because Rogue One was 2016, so.
Yeah,
and I'm just assuming if like legal work that we're adding like another 3 years. So let's just say in theory, like this legal proceeding started in like 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those things I wonder if he even knew he had enough ground to sue them, and then he finally found, like, I would say, factual proof or an actual signed document, maybe, that he was been looking for or came up with. That's the only honest to God thing I can think of.
Yeah, same.
So the judge upheld it, but also said that he doesn't see it.
He upheld it. He upheld it to the point of where he sees enough validity in it to not just outstrike it just because Disney asked.
Okay. Yeah.
But he also doesn't say that he has enough evidence on the other side to completely say that Disney is rightfully at fault, but there is cause enough
it's
to
like
look at it.
passing it up the chain essentially
Yeah.
to see what a higher court would say for intellectual property rights and that sort of thing. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you would think that being that this happened so many years ago with the film, you would think that they would have done their due diligence.
You'd
In
think.
terms of using his likeness, but he would think that, but that doesn't always happen. So, I mean, yeah, like Bree said, it's going to set a precedent, most definitely.
Even if this gets close,
Don't know.
If this gets close to winning, but just stops short, that's going to persuade a lot more people to be like, he might not have been able to win that, but ours probably could.
Like, isn't there already like a law in effect, at least in California, that like nobody's allowed to use AI? Without permission.
Last time that Gavin Newsom was waiting to sign it in, and I think he did.
I think he just signed it today or like yesterday.
Okay, I know it was in processing when we brought it up the last time, but okay, yeah.
But here's the thing: most of the Star Wars films are produced in London.
Yeah. That does.
This is. I don't think it's like clear cut as a lot of these bullshit Disney cases. Where everyone's just trying to make a buck. I'm not saying that Disney's an angel, but I feel like 90% of like the litigation brought against Disney is frankly like bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like you kind of have to pick and choose your battles when it comes to going up against the mouse.
Yep. And staying with the mouse a little bit, Disney pauses the Graveyard Book filming following assault allegations against Neil Gaiman.
I mean, I think this was the correct choice. I mean, I don't really think there was any other option.
Same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did we already talk in depth about the allegations?
No, this is the first time we brought it up. I don't exactly know what all happened.
I would, if you want the TLDR, I would go look up the YouTuber Council of Geeks, because they listened to the podcast where this whole story was first broke, and according to them, the podcast is just like awful in terms of presenting all these stories, but like the allegations are still legit and should be taken seriously.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And I'm going to be really honest with you, and I don't mean to sound like, but this doesn't shock me as much as hearing it coming from someone like Neil Gaiman. He's a weird dude.
Yeah.
He's a rather eccentric.
Yeah, very kind of like, I know I'm throwing him under the bus again, but Whedon-esque.
Yeah.
Like, he's not quite Alan Moore, but he's eccentric is just the proper way to put it. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Also, this is going to affect. Weren't they finally doing season 2 of Sandman?
I don't remember how far they got into production. I knew it was like it was always one of those. Oh yeah, it's coming soon.
I just thought there was some final thing where they were actually finally like filming the freaking thing.
Well, I know Good Omens season 3 has been put on hold too, and allegedly there's an exit deal in the wing to have them go out and actually finish it, because half of Good Omens is the late Terry Pratchett. So that one, it's a little bit easier to kind of, continue and like divorce from like Gaiman.
Yeah. It's not fun. Divorcing stuff can be hard.
Yeah.
Bit of divorce. Woohoo. It just, it sucks because a bad person. I just wish what could happen with stuff like this is what, from what I understand, happened with R. Kelly. Supposedly, all the royalties from his music now goes to his victims.
Yeah.
I wish more stuff like that could happen.
Same.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
I would just be like, make more of their shit. Please put out more of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Make it go to charities.
Yeah.
Keep your whatever bullshit cut, but you have to, by law, make some of it go to a charity. Specifically, a charity that involves the thing that the guy did bad. I'm not exactly sure that's specifically a urination.
Yeah, Zach, I agree with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Caroline is kind of the poor bastard child in that.
That's kind of one of the reasons why when I did see Coraline last month, I didn't post about it at all. I just went to see the movie, and that was.
Well, once you know about Leica's history, like I liked her stuff, but it's kind of like the drama of it. Like it's a whole drama of like nepotism and like backstabbing. Because once you actually know about Leica's predecessor, like, yeah, it's like bad shit. So yeah, basically the short version of the Leica story is Leica was originally Will Vinton's studios, and then Travis Knight's father, who was at that time the CEO of Nike, basically was an investor in that studio, and basically Will Vinton got pushed out and put Travis Knight in charge. So yay, everything sucks, and that's why I'm like, all this animation stuff with different studios, like, how could they do this? And I'm like, and I was unrelated, but I told you in like Twitter comment the other day, like, I was actually kind of horrified how many people didn't know that Pixar wasn't unionized.
Oh, we're gonna get into that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's.
Oh man.
Anyway, speaking of that, Inside Out was a Pixar needed, but the laid off employees who crunched on it are still hurting. From the outside, Pixar's narrative is a clear story of redemption after an undeniably tough few years, battered by COVID-19, theater shutdowns, 2 Hollywood strikes, and a couple of box office disappointments. The studios needed a win, and a win was Inside Out 2, which now took the crown from the asterisk live, whatever you want to consider that freaking Lion King movie. The sequel to Pete Docter's Oscar-winning 2015 blockbuster is Pixar's biggest hit in years. It's not even close. Inside Out just isn't Pixar's highest-grossing film. It's the highest-grossing animated film of all time. Sitting at a jaw-dropping $1.6 billion at the worldwide box office, it's a stunning turn of events when considering the studio's aforementioned recent struggles. Who doesn't love a redemption story, especially when a brand as beloved and nostalgic as Pixar is involved? But for many, the workers behind Inside Out 2, its record-shattering success is more than bittersweet. As reported earlier this year, the studio began laying off, affecting 175 workers, or 14% of its staff in May, and not are only laid off employees unable to get benefits from the bonuses of Inside Out 2 success, some of them also recovering from what several sources describe as unreprehensible crunch surrounding Inside Out 2. There is just an incredible amount of people who are like, I can't do this. I think for a month or two, the animators were working 7 days a week. One source says ridiculous amounts of production workers just for people to be tossed into jobs they've never done before. It was horrendous. I would venture that at least 95% of the people who got laid off are financially fucked right now, one person says.
Before we, Mike, because I know you're itching to talk about this, is it bad that I'm not surprised by any of this?
No, because I'll admit, even I forgot about that clause in the contract where, in order for Disney to acquire Pixar, they had to be non-unionized. And I think in our animation podcast about the Animation Guild, Disney has a very bad history with unions and their lack thereof.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also, just for those who aren't aware, we very much stand with animation.
Yes.
Yes,
But
definitely.
yeah, but for that weirdly specific thing, that actually was a distance. That just Ed, Cat Mill and John Lasseter have always kind of sucked.
Oh yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this whole story was kind of eye opening. Not necessarily the whole anti-union thing, but you don't get stories like this that often. I mean, in the animation industry, we get lots of these stories, and we've been hearing about them a lot more recently. But yeah, just hearing about the crunch time, and on top of all of the workers getting laid off, that just sucks.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and that's the thing that annoyed me, because when they laid out, I knew it was something about bonuses, or at least, that's what I kind of heard from like the grapevine. And here's like the one thing about like animation fandom, like Twitter, that always has rubbed me the wrong way, is like the constant like standing at like a studio saying, "Oh, go, make all the money, Pixar's back," or whatever fucking bullshit, or whatever. I'm like, look, I'm not in the industry, but I am like very like adjacent to it. I'm like, you guys have no idea like what the fuck you are is talking about. And then they act like all shocked when it turns out, I'm like, oh, this highly exploitative industry is highly exploitative. Who would have thought?
Shocking. Yeah.
I was talking with Cameron off air about animation fans just being just god awful. I even kind of refuse to call them animation fans anymore, because they.
I mean, to me, they're the same box of like PlayStation and Xbox fanboys. Like, you don't know what the shit you're talking about. Please sit the fuck down and shut up.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
You're trying to tell me that we didn't just have a giant discussion about people who are fans of things, just rip it to shreds, or talk about it in ways that show they aren't really fans of things?
See, Brock, this is called having a narrative and a theme. This is what good writers do.
All right. So our last topic for this week, I do not have a casting call because I knew this podcast was going to take forever. Sadly, at the age of 93, James Earl Jones has passed away.
That would hurt.
Yeah,
it really did.
Sucks. Anything you guys want to talk about? Any favorite things? Just
I'm going to bring up something that maybe not a whole lot of people would bring up when it comes to James Earl Jones. Movie called Best of the Best.
Believe it or not, you're not the first one to bring it up.
He is fan-fucking-tastic. And I love the role that he played, even though he's a taekwondo coach, which is not exactly the role that I would picture him in. But he, dude, the guy comes in, owns the room in a movie with Eric Roberts and Philip Reed and all these guys and God damn it, Chris Penn is in this movie as well. Sean Penn's more talented brother. Guy comes in there and goes, "Eddie's," and he's just like, he's so freaking brilliant in that role. I love James Earl Jones in that movie. Of course, he'll always be the voice of Vader to me. Mm-hmm. It's so funny because I was just watching like the other day or something, like when he came out for like a baseball game and spoke.
Yeah, the
national
1993
anthem.
World Series.
That one, yes. And spoke spoke it. He didn't have to sing it. He just said it. And that to me was more touching than like listening to like 1,000 awesome people sing that. I'm sorry, but you know, it was just really brilliant. What a commanding presence, physicality, and vocal performance that he had. And he could be absolutely hilarious as well. If you've seen those Sprint commercials from back in the day with Malcolm
Totes
McDowell.
McGoat.
Totes McGoats. I have never heard a more Shakespearean reading of such a line. But like, you know, he brought us, he left a great legacy. He brought us so much joy. He brought us so much emotion, so much feeling. And it hurt me. It really did. That was one where I was like, I heard it and just, I was in Discord voice talking with my friends, talking with Red, talking with everybody in there. And when somebody said it, I was just, I just went, oh my God, damn it. I just felt it. Yeah, that's a tough one.
I mean, I know the last couple of years he hasn't been in the best of health. And every time I saw James Earl Jones trending, I was like, I knew one of these times it was going to be, you know, that announcement. But James Earl Jones, I mean, outside of like, you know, the more popular things people remember him for, like The Lion King, Star Wars, Coming to America.
Oh, yeah, Coming to America.
I mean, I think if we're talking about some of the greatest actors who ever lived, like James Earl Jones absolutely has to be in the same category as Laurence Olivier and all of the other all-time greats. I mean, there's just never going to be another James Earl Jones.
Nope.
Like some of the stuff that people don't like to talk about him is Admiral Greer. I had to look up because I forgot the actual character's name in all the Jack Ryan movies. He was really good. And like a movie that no one I ever hear talk about anymore, Sneakers. He was great in Sneakers.
Oh,
I love that.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And like,
Jeez.
I'm pretty sure he was the narrator in Sandlot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of stuff like that. And like, there's just one random, shoot. It was an episode of 2.5 Men where Charlie fake dies. And then Alan got something where he was supposed to announce something like the eulogy or read something for us. And like Alan's paying him this money and he goes, he's like, all right, so are we talking CNN or I Am Your Father? Just the way the line was just great.
Because he used to do the This Is CNN. Oh my God, I forgot about that for a second. Jesus.
No, I think they still do it. I think, you know, when they updated their name a couple years ago, he recorded a new version.
That's awesome.
You know, like they're saying, you know, the most trusted name in news or just whatever. Yeah, because he did it like a newer version. And you can tell because his voice is a little, you know,
different.
Tones a little bit older.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did he did sign something for them to be able to use his voice as Vader, correct?
I'm pretty sure he did.
Yes, he did.
I think so. I think he did.
Although at this point, like other than like just theme parks and stuff for like creative experiences, I'm like, realistically, how much more Vader stuff are we going to get at this point?
It'd be video games, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's what it would be.
Yeah, that would probably
like
be
voice notes and video games of old Imperial tapes, things like that.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, stuff at Disney. For Star Wars going forward, they need to get the fuck away from the Skywalkers.
Agreed.
Yeah, they really do. Can I mention something also, which is not related, but I mean, was something that I read on Twitter and was shocked to see was the death of a comic book artist named John Cassaday.
Yeah, I heard about that.
That one was a surprise for me. Like wow. Really loved his work. So.
Yeah, no,
That was a sad thing to see.
Try to have I think it's been like 8 freaking podcasts in a row now. I understand there's a lot of celebrities, a lot of things, but like I just wanted to like have
it like comes in 3, and then the Japanese seiyuu of like Sailor Yes Jupiter passed away. Like,
I saw something about that too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the comes in 3 rule is very, very real.
Well, it comes in 12s because like every freaking podcast we've had 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
One last thing, because everyone has talked about The Lion King, Star Wars, and all of his other big movie rules, but like if you can find it, look up his performance on Broadway.
Star Wars holiday special.
Well, no.
A true Oscar-worthy performance.
No, but he did a like a Broadway performance of Fences, and just incredible.
Yeah. Well, I think that one of the theaters on Broadway actually got renamed a couple of years ago to the James Earl Jones Theater, because they did like a darkening of it after his passing, because that's usually the thing that you do on Broadway. If someone notable in the community passes away, you dim the marquee lights.
He deserves it. Well, if I want to have a lighter note, there is something that I forgot to put in the notes that I actually thought was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that Batman is going to be getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yes.
So
I think is awesome.
They do it for fictional characters.
That I think that's kind of cool. I know this.
I'm more shocked that it hasn't been a thing already, because the fucking Rugrats have a star on the Walk of Fame. And yeah,
dang, they beat Batman.
I did not know.
How about that?
No, I didn't know of another fictional character that had one. I did not know that.
Quite a few, more than you would think, because Godzilla has one too.
Oh, I did know about Godzilla's.
Naturally.
There was one. The one thing I didn't know was about Ali's, about how it's on the wall and not on the floor, so that you cannot walk over it.
Oh,
that's pretty clever.
Yeah, that I thought was pretty great, because it's like, for his name, Muhammad, like it's like that's not something you should be walked over and disrespectful. So they put it on the wall next to the walk. I'm like, that's pretty awesome.
I
like that.
That's actually really, that's really cool.
I also didn't know that you have to sign up to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yeah. Well, that's why Carrie Fisher never had one when she was alive, because she's like, I'm not paying like $30,000 for this shit.
Oh, damn.
Didn't know that. It kind of
well, I guess Batman had to pony up.
But hey, Batman's got the money.
I wonder who will be there for the unveiling.
You know who it should have been? Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
You want to know who it honestly probably will be?
I know what you're going to say.
Michael Keaton.
I mean, that would be the better thing. My worst case scenario is it's David Zaslav.
Oh,
I will tell him right now. No, I will fly there myself and punt his head clean off. David Zaslav. I will make my own batarang and decapitate him if it's Zaslav. That fucker don't deserve anything. It should either be Michael Caine or James Gunn. Zaslav don't deserve shit.
No, not even close.
Whatsoever. Or if Bill Finger has any kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's who should really be there. Like the actual creator of Batman.
Isn't that documentary still on Hulu? The one I think it was called like Batman and Bill or something. Is that still on there?
Let me check. Yeah, it is called Batman and Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it is still on Hulu and Disney Plus.
Yeah. That was a really good Good documentary, in case anybody wants to watch that.
Yeah, I would assume he has kids or grandkids. I honestly think that'd be the best.
I believe so. Yeah, I think they're in that documentary. I believe
one child.
He has one child. Well, they should be the one that does it.
Yeah,
honestly,
agreed.
That'd be cool.
That would be awesome. And like maybe James, because I know they always have other people there to make.
Maybe James Gunn. Maybe throw James Gunn, Michael Keaton. Put them all in there.
Keaton, some of his like could get Scott Snyder maybe.
Yeah. Some of the
Capullo.
Some of the like. Honestly, in my opinion, I would think it'd be kind of cool if Andrea Romano was there. But this is me just. Being
holy crap!
But yeah, like some people that wrote some of his good comic book stories. Surviving member of the family that helped create it, and
yeah.
Fucking literally anyone but David Zaslav.
Keep him as far away as possible.
I would have rather had Stan Lee do it than David Zaslav.
Yeah.
And he has nothing to do with that.
That's how little faith that I have. I'm like, yeah, I just, because I know David Zaslav is going to want to make him as part of himself, as insert himself into the narrative. So,
yeah, I get you.
Or like, isn't Jim Lee the head of DC now?
Yep.
Yeah, Jim Lee. Yeah.
Jim Lee. Have Jim Lee do it. He'd be the best. Another great Jim Lee, the couple writers, and then the Fingers child. All you need. That's it. Have that dumb fuck off camera in a corner somewhere if you need to, but he doesn't get to touch the thing.
No.
All right. That's all we got. Kept it just shy of 3 hours. I'm shocked, but all right. Kiara, where can everybody find you?
Oh, well, you can find me on Twitter at Neoplasmic24, also Twitch, twitch.tv/Neoplasmic, also on Instagram and Threads at Neoplasmic81, and renegadepopculture.com, as per usual.
Bree, where can everybody find you?
At Crazy Lemur at most places, or some variation of Lemur in general. Finishing up some projects, have some cool stuff coming out. Stay tuned for that. And I'm just kind of like out of it. Just this week has been like a whirlwind for me.
Umbreon is losing his whole.
I see Umbreon is.
I know.
I think that's a good reaction. I think.
I hope that's a good reaction. Oh, ads. What?
Oh, ads.
Anyway, Mike, go ahead.
You guys can find me on various social media sites at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42, and you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and that place at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser. Consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. You need escape, so do we.
Absolutely. And you can find me ever at Organite0, mainly Twitch and YouTube. And I'm sorry I have been slacking horrifically on streams, but if not this week, because I'll have stuff other than actual gaming stuff to do. I'll be back next week for sure, finishing up Alan Wake. After that, I don't know, but I know what I'm doing for Halloween, so I'll get into that later. But all right, everyone, until next time, we will see you all later.
Peace.
Peace.